and safety are all commingled. They all go together in some.
Adding in the Poconos, and these murders would never. Breaking news tonight. Did Washington State University know Bryan Kohberger was a dangerous threat? Were there fiery red flags of alarm that they chose to ignore? Would he have been kicked out and home to mommy and daddy in the Poconos, and these murders would never have happened if Washington State University had acted? This as photos of the killer's bleak apartment are revealed. What clues did he leave behind? And believe it or not, witnesses are getting death threats as the victims' families in anguish as vile images of their.
Who is getting death threats? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Good morning. It is way too early to be hearing Nancy Grace. Reason I'm playing this though is Steve and Christy went on Nancy Grace. I don't recall Steve and Christy going on Nancy Grace that much throughout the past 2.5, 3 years. But I do know that the guidance offices make it perfectly clear is the University of Idaho as well as WSU. I mean, they were only out for themselves and protecting themselves, and yeah, that's exactly what I believe too. That's why when did they really know about Bryan Kohberger? And he was, oh my God, WSU employs this man.
Children in death.
But who's getting death threats?
Are being released. OHELLNO. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
I don't even know what she was just even saying. But I want to start my morning off with a big bang. Whoa, Nancy, what the fuck? What's going on, Nancy? She's going to tell us. Who's getting threatened? Guys, there is a new ABC 2020 that's going to be dropping this weekend on Friday night. It's a 2-hour show. First of all, I wanted to say a couple things. Whichever motherfucker out there requested the body cam for when the Gonsalveses are told about their daughter's murder, keep that shit to yourself. I think that you're absolutely out of your fucking gourd. Okay. And if I find out that it's a friend of mine or somebody that I am on speaking terms with, I will have no problem telling you what I think about that. Okay. I have no idea. You have no idea what you're doing. It has nothing to do with the investigation. If you want to check in to see if the fucking cops are doing their jobs, give me a break. Okay. Keep that shit to yourselves. You're sick and you need therapy. Okay. The fuck out of here. Requesting that. You guys go get the report. You can see what time they got there. You can see what time they left. I mean, what the hell? All right. That's just fucking sick. All right.
911 location of your emergency.
I'm really disappointed in some of you out there. But it's probably like, I mean, who do we really think did it? I have no problem proving that I didn't do it. Which somebody did it. I would just love to know, hey, if you're so big and so bad, go out there and tell the world that you FOIA'd that shit. Okay. It's probably fucking mainstream media. In fact, I may just make it a personal mission of mine to find out who the hell it was so I could say, get the fuck out of here, you loser. Yeah, that's just not, I'm sorry, but that's just so wrong. 100% so wrong. And I don't even think there's anything you could say, well, I only FOIA'd it because I said I wanted everything. Okay. And they charged me $26,000 because I said I wanted everything. So like maybe that's why that was included. Okay, then again, you're an idiot. You must not know the case if you can't get specific to what you want and what you need. You don't have to say, I want everything with the Idaho4 case. Yeah, charge them motherfuckers $50 grand. Sickening. Okay.
Something is happening. Something's happening to her.
And then who the hell is threatening people, or is this just Nancy Grace just Nancy Gracing it?
What?
Screamed and she ran upstairs because she saw someone. That's what I'm pretty sure she said. Someone's here and she screamed.
But this weekend, ABC, you guys, once again, ABC has pictures that nobody else has. I would love to know where they got these pictures from. We took screenshots of ABC's presentation of their trailer. And there are some of these these selfies of Bryan. You guys, people take selfies every day. I will just say that. And saying that they didn't get sent to anybody is, I think, irresponsible because you don't have all the data. That's why I'm just truly waiting for this stupid special investigation to get over with. And then hearing from some people if they are in fact going to speak on some shit. Because if you're just going to keep being fed a narrative and you're just going to believe that, I think that's also irresponsible. Again, it doesn't make Bryan Kohberger not a killer.
We just ran downstairs.
Did you?
But I'll make my own decisions on everything myself when Ashley Banfield has access to the Barnharts, man. Ask some fucking good questions. Ask the Gonsalveses what they want to know, Ashley, and then ask them that. How about that? If I had access, hey, Steve, Christy, what do you want me to ask them? What information can I help you get?
Kill and murder Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves.
Kohberger. Is it possible? And what about the fact that he was leaving a trail a mile wide? Red flags of alarm to Washington State University.
Okay, Nancy, I have a question then for you. Girl, he's getting parking tickets literally after he killed people, still racking up these parking tickets. They knew that they were looking for a white Honda Elantra. That should start changing people's opinions on when they and how they got to Bryan Kohberger. It's changing my opinion. Okay? Dude, you are looking for a white Honda Elantra on these campuses, and there's just this fucking creepy looking guy that just keeps getting parking tickets in a white Elantra. Nothing to see here though. And he's a criminology student or a PhD student, TA. Okay. It's tell me you just wouldn't keep parking in the handicap parking spot because you're late to class. I mean, everybody is looking for this car, and this motherfucker is just whipping it around woo! Yeah! Give me that ticket, baby. He's just literally getting pulled over left and right, getting parking tickets. Okay.
That Bryan Kohberger was a danger. We'll listen to what the Gonsalves family has to say.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting that Washington State had this long.
I love how the Gonsalves are listen, we'll go on with you, but we're doing a pre-record, okay? Because you're not snapping at us. Because if you snap at me, Nancy, I'm gonna snap back. I love the PR move there. The Gonsalves are listen, we're not going live with you, girl. We know how you get.
History of his anti-woman, misogynist, stalking behavior, and did nothing. That's really interesting. If he had been,
I don't understand why they say that they did nothing. Dude, he was didn't he get fired? They didn't fire him because he was, arrested. They fired him allegedly, supposedly, which I have a question about that. That letter that has it's on a Washington State header, but nobody signed it. The day that I would believe a letter came to me, and I just have these 1, 2, 3, 4 little lines that say, "This is our plan." What plan is that? And who's this from? And what is this about? And what if we don't accomplish this plan? I don't know. I just can't believe it wouldn't be more formal. Dear Bryan Kohberger, you are a piece of shit and you better get it together or you're not going to have a job here. We are not going to have you flagging down our females. There's just, you guys, I went to college. I'm going to tell you this. When you go to college and you're in a big lecture hall and you want to get the fuck out early, who doesn't? I did. When you see somebody else take a dash for the door, you want to walk out with that person. Like you want to like go with them. So like, oh, hey, they're leaving, or I see someone gathering up their stuff. Oh my God. Okay. Like as soon as they get up, I'm going to get up and bolt. You guys, that's how I left every class I've ever left early. Like that's exactly what I remember doing. Like let the teacher focus over there and I'm beelining it to the door. Okay. I'm not like making a bunch of noise and just flapping my shit around and then leaving a lecture hall. Now, if I'm in a smaller class of like 20 or 30 people, those were a lot harder I wouldn't even just go then. I mean, if I got up late and it was like, oh my God, it's a 9 o'clock class. And I'm like, holy shit, it's 9:20. I'm not going to the class. 9 to 9:50. And I woke up and it was 9:15. By the time I had to walk 15 minutes, it's 9:30. And that's me flying up, hurry up, brushing my teeth, getting the fuck out of it. Dude, I'm not going to class. And then if I'm a really smart little lad, do those teachers teach that class and that class happens more than once? It's just at a different time on a different day. I write to my teacher and say, hey, can I pop into your whatever class on this day? Yada, yada, yada. Oh, yeah, it's really great that you reached out. Yeah, you're more than welcome to.
Thrown out, he wouldn't have even been there.
Exactly.
Yep. And he should have been thrown out before he ever killed these kids. That's the truth. If they should have set a standard and said, look, we don't put up with this in our university. You cross the line, you're done.
Yeah, what I think should happen is I think the university right now should get some cahoons and they should come out and they should tell the world, right, what truly transpired in this August, end of August to beginning of November period. Because I just started reading all this stuff about Bryan Kohberger as far as these interviews with these students. You guys, it's mixed. It's mixed statements. Okay. You got some people saying, I don't recall him being like that he just wasn't showing up. And the other people saying he wasn't going to the women's classes. And you have other people, and I'm just like, it's all over the place where it's totally inconsistent. And nobody is saying like what he did. Somebody saying that he was that they were being blocked from leaving a classroom. You guys, it is 2022 at the time. We have cell phones. Do you understand when somebody does something, everybody is grabbing for their cell phones. Everybody is grabbing for their cell phones and recording. Okay. I get that you're in Washington and there may be different rules or whatever, but make it like, hey, let them know that you're doing it and you're fine. You just can't secretly record. Hey, I'm recording you. I'm letting you know this. I need you to move the fuck out of my way. Okay. And like bust his ass. Like, yeah, but I'm sorry, grading harshly is not what you get fucking kicked out of school for. All right. It's 2022. That school is very, I guess you could say, like, I don't know, pro women in power. Go write up a report. What is your parents teaching you? I teach my son, like, you talk to the teacher. If you see something happening, you make them aware. Okay. When you come home from school, you tell me about something, right? When your kid's that little, and then you're like, okay, you listen to what happened. Okay, do I think that I need to like bring this to the teachers, bring this to the student, bring this to the staff? I mean, God, I'm reading these reports and they're like, yeah, how didn't we catch this? We're a bunch of criminal justice students. We're a bunch of criminology. We want to be in. We're going for PhDs over here, and we're looking at behavior, and we didn't even catch it. Nobody made. How the fuck did none of y'all call in? He was going to potluck dinners. He was driving around that whip, that white Honda Elantra that everybody is searching for. And he is just this awful human, and none of you guys are calling in to the tip line. Meanwhile, just 4 students, girls, were stabbed to death in the middle of the night, and he's supposedly obsessed with knives and serial killers, and it doesn't come through to your fucking skulls. Get out of here. I'm sorry. Change a major. That is bad, bad, bad. Okay. Ben, he rode in his car. Ben Gay rode in his car. And then the university, I don't even know what grounds they even fired him as a TA for, because it's not in the reports. So I think that's what Steve's upset about, is that they're hiding that stuff. He thinks that they're hiding that stuff.
It's not even our decision. It's just your behavior. We're holding you accountable. You should behave like this. That's the expectations in Washington State
Well,
University.
they should be the expectations everywhere. You know, fuck this state for state shit, man. Don't come into Ohio and act like a, we just went down to the Ohio State Texas football game. So many people on campus. There's obviously grad students, there's undergrads, faculty, but there's, parents are in town. There's just people that live in the area that go. And it was like the most respectful shit I've seen. Like, nobody was getting rowdy with nobody. Okay. I mean, Ohio State tailgates are absolutely out of control. There are just so many people, so many families. I loved it. I loved that people had their kids on their shoulders down there. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. You're not a bad parent when you take your kid to go to a sporting event. Like, I just love seeing shit like that. Spend time with your kids, right? So here, I personally believe that Steve believes, this is just my personal opinion, and I stand with Steve on this. Dude, if the university is hiding shit, you guys, the university is hiding stuff, because off of the stuff that I've read, nobody's getting fired over that. And I can't wait to do my little Unmasking Bryan series that I've been working on. I've been working on it with Bella. Trust me, like, I want to wring her neck some days. We got a huge house divided over here. Okay. She wants to give Bryan Kohberger like 30,000 splinters in his ass. I don't blame her. And over here, I'm like, I want all the information. Give me all the information. I want to know why this dude took this plea deal, because usually people in his situation, if he is guilty and he did all this shit, why isn't he trying to get out of it? Why wouldn't he try to walk, right? And then keep this whole maintain my innocence and fight it. And if he's like a narcissistic person, you know what I mean? I'm just like the psyche of that. So yeah. But I'm reading these reports and I'm like, you know what? I believe that Steve is right. I think that there's people that were either not interviewed on purpose, because we can't have this shit out there. And then if the university didn't do something based on like, hey, I told you guys about this. Hey, I told you all these things, right? Then the university, you have some liability there. And that's why in the beginning I said, Steve, Christy, I would fucking sue the balls off that university. Because I do believe that they're lying. I'm sorry, I'm reading these reports. if I have an opinion and you have an opinion and they're different, you know, just because your opinion is different than mine and you're telling me that I'm wrong, I would never think that I could go to the school and say, this person's always arguing with me. They're always debating me. They're always doing this in class. And they're always making me feel a certain way. Feel a certain way. Like, dude, stand up and tell that motherfucker to like puff your chest back at him and say, I don't care what you think. And I don't like, tell him what's up. Punk his ass down. Okay? I don't appreciate you being like, da-da-da-da. I'm here to get an education with da-da-da-da. And if I got to go 4 years or 3 years or 2 years with your fucking skinny, pale ass, motherfucking weird dick around me, okay? Listen, I'm going to go report you to the university, to the dean, to whoever. Dude, women, come on. I know that's what I would do. First of all, I'd laugh in his fucking face. I'd say, I said, look around. Do you know what school you're at? It's like women power over here, buddy. Look at who's running this department. It's a female. Like, I would just be like, I wish a motherfucker would. That's how I feel about that. So I stand with Steve on this because I think when you clip people, you don't get to hear the whole part of it. And I just truly believe what Christy and Steve believe is that the universities off the jump were in protect mode of their university, which tells me early on they knew that the person that did this went and was employed by the university. Think about that. Think about all the secrecy. You think that if he was a worker at, I don't know, Longhorn Steakhouse, there'd be no secrecy. Fuck Longhorn. You know what I mean? There's nothing to protect. The secrecy, in my opinion, comes because it's money, money, money. Idaho, college. Washington State, the college. We're not going to have this. I mean, why isn't mainstream media beating down the doors of WSU and putting microphones in these people's faces and asking them to talk? You know, also, I mean, did Bryan Kohberger, when he filled out his application, what's the most important thing you do when you want to hire somebody? Like, I cared about like who you were as a person. I could teach you, I could train you, okay? But if I think you are a scumbag piece of shit, I'm not hiring you, right? So character, right? Character. You guys remember when you had to put on your applications back in the day who your character references are, that they can't be related to you? Who could vouch for your character? That's what I always went to. Boom. Who are your character references? Let's see. Who can I call up right now and they're going to tell me that you're fucking awesome? Gary, come on my channel. Let me ask you some questions. Gary, when you were just going through this hiring process and you hired the hot chick to do that job, why'd you hire her? You talked to all four of these people, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. What made you pick her? Because I felt that she was trustworthy. Oh, really? What her face just looked like? Yeah, she's trustworthy. You guys con people, con men? They come across as what? Like, oh, they're going to talk their way through the door, right? Gary Jenkins, isn't it true that she had a pair of tits? And that's probably why you hired her, right? You know that department has issues with sexual harassment and banging broads and being cops and doing them while you're on the job and then getting them out of tickets and stuff like that. I bet you we should look up what type of porn Gary Jenkins watches. I bet you it's that Lil Wayne beat it like a cop, college student with professor type shit and cop type shit.
And you either do it or you don't.
I can always tell when
I wanted to hear more from them. Like Nancy Grace, you have the parents. Why are you cutting them like that? You know, if I was to have somebody like Steve and Christy on my channel, first of all, I'd be honored to have them. But you guys hear from me all the time. Fuck Lana. Who cares about? Hey, I'm just going to ask a question, sit back, and what do you want to talk about? What do you want to say? Why are you want to come on this channel? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to put? What do you want to get out there? I'm not going to cut you up and slice you and put you into. That sounded horrible. That was not the way that I wanted to say that. I'm not going to cut off your whatever you're speaking about and edit you. Like, God, I hate when they do that. And so I was like watching this.
he's having a bad day, and he looked probably the worst I've ever seen him. And he just.
We have to go all the way past to here, then to hear them again.
You'd see
10 minutes I have to go.
nothing but tail hole and elbows, him running home to mommy and daddy. But no, he stayed and ended up murdering the 4 students. And
when they do, the snapping turtle claps down his jaws on them, and there's your meal. I've always felt like he was a reptile anyway. This further confirms it to me as a professor.
I mean, there has to be rules that are followed.
Yeah, there has to be.
I'm just thinking about what Dr. Bethany is saying about basically scaring the girls and making them cry and enjoying it. And according to the Gonsalveses, this was a pattern of behavior. If they had kicked him out, as I think they should have, he would have turned tail. You'd see nothing but tail hole and elbows, him running home to mommy and daddy. But no, he stayed and ended up murdering the 4 students.
Okay. I think that's absolutely crazy. Okay. Because wouldn't Bryan Kohberger kill, like if he, was he going to kill regardless where? I think I don't believe that the students were picked. I think it was, hey, that's the house that I went to that night. I think there was other times if it's him that he went to other places, and whether he was too like pussy to do it or whatever. But you know, why wouldn't he have killed, I don't know, on his way driving home to mommy and daddy, and pulled off some campus on the way? You know, I'm going to pull something up here. Bryan Kohberger's cellmate interviews. This dude that was in his pod with him, this was back in March of 2023. And this dude was put in his pod in New Year's. Okay. After arriving in their pod, Kohberger immediately sat down and watched the news about his arrest, watching multiple channels that were covering the story. Kohberger said, "Wow, I'm on every channel." Do they have that on camera? I would love to see that. Kohberger was very quiet, and it was very awkward having him in the pod. I would agree. I mean, I think that, first of all, I think being in jail and prison period is, yeah. Kohberger was highly intelligent and analytical, always trying to figure out what you were doing, but didn't know common knowledge things, i.e. the difference between 2 muscle cars. I'm like, wait a second, that is not common knowledge things. I was laughing when I read that. You guys, muscle cars is not common sense. I mean, is it? Hell no. How many of you guys can go just out to your car right now and, hey, I'm going to change my oil, or I'm going to do this with my car, I'm going to do that with my car? No, that's like, It's not common knowledge. Let me just, I don't know, my starter's acting up and let me just get out of here. I always loved all the guys when we were at like my last year in high school. People that were going into like the trade schools. Okay. Dude, these people were always working on their cars during school. They were always doing like wood shop. They were always doing fun shit. I felt like, you know, hands on, like it was never the same day. And then finally I was like, hey, you guys can work on my car whenever you want. Like, you guys want to put some rims on that? You guys want to put, can you guys give me like a nice, maybe back in the day, remember those stupid little faces for the CD player? Yeah. Can you give me one of those faceless CD players so nobody wants to steal it when they want to break in your car and like press the button to pop off the face of the CD player? You know, the one that like flips down and over and it makes it look like it's just like nothing's there. But Kohberger's eyes were creepy, I guess. But other than that, he seemed like a pretty normal guy. He didn't talk to Kohberger very much, which I was like, that kind of defeats the whole, if you didn't talk to him much, how the fuck do you know him? Like, wow. But when he did, their conversation was casual, small talk, never about Kohberger's case. Kohberger would use 3 standard size bars of soap per week. How would you know that? How would you know that somebody used 3 bars of soap? Like, you're seriously watching that person shower? I think you're weird that you would know how many bars of soap that they would use. Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be, if I'm a dude in jail, I am not going to be sizing up another man in showers. Okay? I just wouldn't know that. Unless I was told to observe him, you know, hey, you're going to be my little eyes in there, buddy. You know, like the whole Donald Adelson thing right now. I don't think that jail rats should ever be allowed to testify in murder cases. I don't think they should be able to testify in any case. It's not theirs and that they're not a part of if you are in jail or prison. I think that is, I mean, for the juries to even consider that shit, man. Like, that's ridiculous. You're going to give any weight to somebody that's going to, oh, hey, yeah, I'm getting a deal if I say all this stuff about you. Fuck yeah, they're going to say that. We're going to say whatever they need to get out of jail. It's just like, Kohberger would use 3 standard size. Are there smaller sizes that you can get? Like, I just was laughing about that. I'm like, standard size bars of soap. Give me the little man soap, please. You get the little man soap because your dick is so tiny. Here you go. His hands were red from the amount of washing. Glad that he didn't say his dick was so red. Like, you were watching him that closely. How he was housed with Kohberger for about 3 weeks in total. Oh my God, 3 weeks. Kohberger told him his favorite movie was American Psycho. Do you guys really think he would have said that? How long am I going to defend this guy for? I'm not defending Kohberger. I'm over here trying to get more information on Kohberger. I want the universities to speak out. I'm supporting Steve, actually. Supporting Steve in the fact that I believe that the universities clearly protecting him because they're protecting the university. Because if you actually read these in the interviews with the students and the faculty and the staff, there's nothing there. I highly doubt, though, that Kohberger said that his favorite movie was American Psycho with Christian Bale. I kind of question that. Listen to this. At about 1:28 p.m., Detective Schwecke and I interviewed this person regarding his interactions with Kohberger. What follows is not intended to be an exact transcript of the interview. For further detail, refer to the audio recording. Yeah, that's what I want to listen to because we know how good they are reporting with their writing. After being advised of his Miranda rights, so they Mirandaized this person, right? Confirming he had not been ordered to talk with us, because that's a big no-no. Okay. Hey, we didn't tell you we ordered you to talk to us. We also didn't send you hunting down Bryan Kohberger and doing things because we told you to, because you can't do that. And advised of the purpose of the interview and that the interview would be recorded. Blank provided the following information. He was housed with Kohberger from early January to February 15th of 2023. Kohberger enjoyed watching the news about his case unless it began talking about his family or friends, at which point friends, he doesn't have any friends. Who in January to February, who got on the TV or a news broadcast and it was a friend of his? As time continued, Kohberger stopped watching the news related to his case almost completely. How would you know what he's watching? Are you talking about like the TV that's in the general area that's just on? Or is he like going over the TV and like, let me watch some Nancy Grace?
And there's more. Listen to Kelly Gonsalves's father react.
Guy should have been punched in the face. He was a creep, man. He's a disgusting creep. The kind of guy. We even heard about it from the Seven Sirens bar, where those girls put a little note, said, hey, if you get this credit card, watch out for this guy. I mean, he's been doing this his whole life, and we didn't stand up to him. And we need to start standing up to these type of bullies. And hopefully Idaho will get it right. Hopefully those prisoners in there, they'll do the real justice. They'll act like real men in there, and they'll handle it the way that it should be handled in the first place.
Yeah. Nancy's like, okay, we got to cut that off there. Steve is hoping for assault in the prisons. We have to stop. Listen, any parent is going to say that. I'm sorry if your kid gets murdered. I hope to God you'd be saying that you want that person to go through the same that your kid went through. Okay. But I think that there's got to be more to these interviews that they're not saying, and it's to protect the university.
Are you surprised, Dr. Bethany Marshall? He wasn't just terrorizing the female students at school. A lot of them, 13 formal complaints that we know of. How many?
Wait, what?
Well, he wasn't just terrorizing the female students at school. A lot of them, 13 formal complaints that we know of. How many other?
Wait, where are they, Nancy? Can you please? Okay, this is what I'm talking about. I'm who is out here listening, because I need to pull it up. What reports have the 13 formal complaints and who these people were? Where is this stuff at? Because that's what I believe doesn't exist. And does it not exist because the university is being protected? You guys, where are these 13 formal complaints? The only people that are being protected here, then, people want to say, Steve believes that the university is protecting Bryan Kohberger because it's protecting them. You guys get it? Like, and I'm trying to get to the bottom to bust out a whole can of whoop ass, okay? Because if the university did not do what they were supposed to do, right? Like, what the hell? But where are these reports? Lana, are you coming to Crime Con? I'm working it and was hoping to have a cold one with you. You're working Crime Con? Oh, God. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you guys think I like the state Colorado? I got the can opener for that beer. David says 10. Yeah, Echo. You guys know what's up. Yeah. Out of 50 states, that's my least favorite state right now. If you know, you know. Someone says 11. I love it. Absolutely hate Colorado's criminal justice system is insane. Like, ooh, I think Idaho's like moving. Fucking Colorado. Unfortunately, I'm not going. No, the reason I wasn't going to be going is because once the trial that was supposed to happen, so obviously I was out because of the trial, then we find out that there's not going to be a trial, and then so I've been shifting on how I'm going to be doing everything, and no, the only way that, you know, I was going to be taking time away from being around my son like that is closing out a case that I started from the beginning, and then when this trial didn't happen, it was like there has to be a really good reason for me not to be a mom on my, you know what I mean? During periods of time. So unfortunately, no, I'm not going to be in Colorado. But I was thinking of doing my own crime con, having my own guests of people that didn't go to crime con. How about that? And we have our own crime con. Mommies make the world go round. They do. So do daddies. So do dads. And people that fill in those roles. You know, I want these formal complaints. I want to see if the university, I mean, if we think about it, the university brought Bryan Kohberger there, WSU. What's WSU's hiring policy? What's WSU's policy on, okay, why'd you bring, you know, you're bringing people into this PhD program. What type of access do they have to things that they maybe shouldn't have time for? Oh, is that a fact? Oh, why don't you come on panel? Why don't you show your face? Did you go to bed this morning? Come on. I'll drop the link for you. I double dog dare you. That's what you call a real big pussy. Right there. LOLs. I love people that hide behind the word LOL. Who needs to say LOL when you want to like say something? You just say it. Yeah. That hurts. What hurts? Here's the link. Take it. Oh. Someone needs attention. Here you go. This is a total bedbound bitch right here. Doesn't get out of bed. This is the only people that write stuff like this. Yeah. People that don't get out of bed. So. Bye, LOL. Go make another alt, bitch. Bedbound bitches. William giving I 5 Truth and Transparency memberships. So yeah, going back to this whole big thing is, but WSU hiring somebody, what do they give them access to? Why is nobody talking? If anybody and everybody could just talk, mainstream media usually gets those interviews. Bring these people on, talk to the university. But there's no substance there. And I think it's because either it didn't happen or you're protecting not Bryan, but it looks like you are, but you're protecting your university. That's just what it looks like. That's just
complaints were there that were not formal, but now we know it was discussed at bars and restaurants where the female waitresses were like, watch out for this guy, he is a creep, stay away from him. So he couldn't contain himself.
He was compulsive, Nancy. He could not stop himself. Again, if we think of sex aggression, making women cry, dominating women, threatening and intimidating them as all going hand in hand. We could say, in a sense, he was sexually compulsive, that he was constantly acting this out everywhere he went. And Nancy, if the criminology professors told the school administration that he was a danger, why wouldn't they trust criminology professors? I mean, these people are trained to spot.
LOL is a voluntary bedbound bitch. There's a difference. Bedbound bitches that have medical issues and reasons, it's not voluntary. LOL is a voluntary bedbound bitch. They know. Trust me, they know.
Sociopaths. And furthermore, did you know that Bryan Kohberger's school office was in the basement? It was isolated from other offices. And because of that, students were afraid of him and did not want to go in. So in a sense, they served up the students like
you guys, they put the TAs in the basement of, so what that means is you don't get a fucking it's like going on a cruise and you get the rooms that don't have the balconies or the the windows. Okay? Like, what? Where do you think that we put the TAs? I mean, this is absurd.
tasty little snack.
These statements, like, that's absurd statement to me. People are afraid to go where? You guys, it's 2022. Sorry, people don't go to like TA office hours. You do everything via email, Zoom, blah, 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 especially after freaking COVID. Like, come on.
To him, which I think is just so disgusting, and it's really disturbing.
911 location of your emergency.
Then why aren't you guys talking about the university? Go at the university. Because if all of this is true, then the university is liable. The university was negligent. The university should be to blame for this. And what it looks like to me is that maybe they're trying to keep all this stuff hidden about the university. And hey, can we say that we got to him some other type of way? Because we really got to him because of X, Y, and Z. I don't know. It's just, I want to see these 13 formal complaints. I want to read these.
Good. If you start today, you could delay 2 mortgage payments, meaning even more cash in your trying to get crime scene photos. I remember specifically people trying to get Nicole Brown, O.J. Simpson's wife, autopsy photos. Yes, so they could sell them.
What?
That fight going on, I couldn't believe that there are ghouls out there doing that. The family fighting tooth and nail tonight to try to stop those images. But right now, I want to tell you about just obtained photos. And we are not here on Crime Stories. We are not posting photos, bloody photos of these children, these University of Idaho students. That is not happening here.
You're not, Nancy, it can't happen anywhere. There's no bloody photos going to be going anywhere. What are you talking about? Everything has been redacted. What? Nancy, you're what? Okay. On January 13, 2023, ISP Detective Ryan O'Hara and I conducted an interview with blank from Pullman, Washington. This person is an blank. The following is a summary of the interview. She worked at WSU since blank. Her contract with WSU is for blank. She teaches 2 classes in the fall semester and 2 classes in the spring semester. Her only contact with Bryan Kohberger was at school designated events. She first met him at school orientation, which is when, you know what I mean? Nothing stood out about Kohberger that she recalls. She met and interacted with Kohberger at a second event during October or November of 2022. A night out at the bar with graduate students. Kohberger was at the bar. Kohberger asked her about her research interests and how it was practicing blank. None of their areas of interest in law overlapped. As faculty, they discussed graduate students. Prior to going on break, Kohberger was one of the main people of conversation. Specifically, his behavior around women. He was aggressive towards women and made them feel uncomfortable. The faculty discussed how they could intervene. This person, another teacher, came to her and complained about one of his TAs. No names were brought up, but it was regarding a TA making women uncomfortable. She recommended he document the issues in writing. Kohberger was respectful during her conversations with him. Next person to be interviewed, the following. Blank has worked at Blank Consulting for approximately 1 year. She got a degree in Blank from the University of Idaho. She attended a pool party at Blank in July of 2022. Kohberger came up and introduced himself to her very intentionally. They shook hands, and he had a firm, very firm, dominant grip. He said he was new to town and went to school at WSU. It was a very bland conversation, and she wasn't interested in talking to him. He was in her vicinity and kept trying to join in conversations with her. She thought it was odd. He gave an off vibe, and she kept her eye on him. He seemed very used to being put off by women. He seemed okay with it. He's like, dude, I always get burnt by women. They don't ever want to talk to me. And she's like, he seemed fine by it. He made beelines to where he wanted to go. It seemed like he wanted to make friends but felt uncomfortable. I then interviewed this other person. She works at blank, blank, blank. She is a student in the psychology program. She saw Kohberger every day during the semester at the cafe, always near closing time, and sometimes over the summer prior to school starting. He liked to talk specifically with her. She believes he told her his name was something else. He would ask her questions about her school program and psychology. He asked about the psychological assessments she was learning about, but she told him she wasn't interested in that area of study. Her friend Blank was at the register once when Kohberger came in and asked her, he came in and he asked for Blank by name, this person. She was certain she never told him her name, and she doesn't wear a name tag. She was unaware how he knew her name. It seemed to her Kohberger knew what hours she worked and made remarks about her hours. Kohberger would come in with a female, Blank, blank, blank. She doesn't know her name. She asked Kohberger's female friend where she was from. The female told her to guess. She guessed Blank. And Kohberger remarked to the female, "See, I told you she was smart." That statement seemed weird to her because she didn't think much of Kohberger, but it seemed like he had been talking to the female about her. She was always uninterested in talking with Kohberger, and she would try to walk away, but he would just keep talking. She told a coworker, Blank, she was uncomfortable around Kohberger, and Blank would let her know when he came in so she could avoid him. She lives in Blank in Pullman, Washington. There were a few times weird things happened around that time, but she believed they were totally unrelated. She was home one night, changing in her room, and someone knocked on her window. She called her husband, and he came home from work. What? I don't get it. If you have a husband, wouldn't you say hey, I don't know if you're trying to hit on me, but just so you know, I'm married. Hello, I have a wedding ring on. Be direct, people. Another time, after she had started working at Blank, she heard someone moving around on her porch at approximately 7 in the evening. Her husband came home again and saw a white car leaving the area. Both occurrences were in August or September. Dude, I'm sorry, but I would have. Why aren't you reporting that? Why aren't you reporting that? Like, you know, when I read these little blurbs, like this next person, Blank advised Culbert, this is another person, Blank advised Culberger's behavior didn't really change from the time before the homicides or after the homicides. Blank said he never received any direct complaints about Kohberger interacting with any of the undergrad students in his capacity as a teaching assistant. Blank further advised the female grad students didn't like Kohberger because he was that off-putting. And I'm over here like, listen, give me these examples. Like, nobody came to this person. So I was like, you want to put this all on a board. Blank talked about the process by which Kohberger's behavior eventually led to his removal as a teaching assistant. I believe that he wasn't. I believe that he was removed after. I think this is a cover-up with that. Blank advised he initially supported Kohberger until after a second event that blank could not remember the details of. What? Blank advised Kohberger's removal was a result of a cumulative effect of his behavior. Dude, cumulative effects of your behavior means it's documented. You know, it's kind of like, all right, I go to work and I work at Golf Galaxy. Okay. The place has, I don't know, let's say 40 employees. All right. I go to HR and I'm just like, hey, this dude who works in the club section and who's fitting clubs, you know, he invited me to go to his hot tub while his wife was out of town. I think that that's fucking inappropriate. Okay. But at the same time, he was willing to give me all of these golf clubs for like free. And if I was just like, oh, can I bring some friends? So I'm just going to go hang out at his hot tub. But in turn, I get like $4,000 worth of free golf clubs. The reason I'm telling you about this is because this man's poor as shit. So I'm sure he's probably stealing the golf clubs. Then he's trying to sexually harass me and invite me over to his little fucking party while his wife's out of town. I don't know what you want to do about it. Have a good day. Come again? Blank discussed his opinion that Kohberger should have been kept on as a TA because Blank believed that Blank had an obligation to continue to honor their commitment in offering him a TA position. Kohberger relied on that commitment, and if Blank was going to remove that from him, Blank needed to make sure they had thoroughly documented the reasons why. Cumulative doesn't mean increasing amounts. What? Yeah. The only way that you can prove cumulative is by documenting. Okay. If he's doing something and you want to document it, and then you would say, hey, look at all these documented times, and it's all the same pattern of behavior. Okay. Cumulative. Here I'm reading. This guy's over here, like we further discussed instances with Kohberger that have already been covered in previous interviews. These topics included Kohberger's issues he had with females in the program, as well as discussion regarding the process of this TA position being terminated. I want to talk about the Barnharts. Can they just come on? I have some questions about this. What did you find in his emails, in his phone regarding dealings? Okay, text messages, phone calls, whether he received them, whether he dialed them, emails, and everything that had to do with this documented history of the university speaking with Bryan Kohberger. Let's get to the bottom of that. Where is that? I want to see it. And I want to blast that because that's important. Why aren't they having these people on and asking those questions? You know, where you guys went through his PC, you guys went through his phone, you guys have access to all of his email addresses. where are the emails that have come from the university or he had sent to the university, any of those email addresses that belong to the university. Okay, you're teaching, you have a, .edu, wsu.edu, whatever the fuck it is. Where are those emails? I want them, and I want the documented history of, hey, look at all this shit we have documented and when we had talked to him. This was the meeting minutes. This is what was discussed. Check this out. Again, Blank discussed his opinion that Kohberger should have been kept on as a TA. What? This person's opinion is that Kohberger should have been kept on as a TA. Why? Because he's over here saying that we had an obligation to continue to honor the commitment in offering him a TA position. Kohberger relied on that commitment, and if Blank was going to remove that from him, Blank needed to make sure that they, and I believe he's talking about, I think that it's WSU, had thoroughly documented the reasons why. Blank said he was concerned that removing Kohberger from the TA position without doing so would open Blank up to a civil lawsuit from Kohberger. Hello. Ding, ding, ding. Right there. Blank talked about a situation where he was meeting with Blank and Kohberger in his office in order to prepare final exam questions for his undergraduate class. Kohberger announced he had to have a Zoom meeting with another student. This is somebody that wanted, like as I said, remember, TA office hours isn't anymore that you show up at these people's offices. You do this shit online. That's what you do. And so he needed to have this Zoom meeting. Blank assumed Kohberger was advising he had to leave for the meeting and could not help with the exam prep. Instead, Kohberger proceeded with the Zoom meeting in Blank's office, preventing Blank and Blank from preparing the exam. You guys, hello. If I'm in my office and somebody comes in and they're supposed to be helping prep for something and they're like, oh, shit, I forgot I have this quick, TA Zoom, blah, blah. Okay, well, yeah, go do that and then come right back. Okay. Or if somebody needs to have this in and sitting at a desk over there and I'm over here and doing whatever, if I felt that person was disrupting me, I'm going to tell them to get the fuck up out of my office. Hey, you need to go. Come back when you're done. Like, this is disrupting what we're doing here. Okay? Instead, let's see how they handle this. Like, come on, be a boss. Like, do your job. Where is this shit? It doesn't make any sense. Instead, Kohberger proceeded with the Zoom meeting in Blank's office, preventing Blank and Blank from preparing for an exam. Blank had to tell Kohberger to leave his office. Oh, imagine that. That's what you would do. And Blank advised Blank had provided him with a slightly different version of the revised exam questions referenced above. Blank did recall discussing this question with Blank. What? We discussed Kohberger's tendency to stare at people. You guys, that sounds like it's normal. Hey, you need to leave, go have your little Zoom, and then you come back. So that's what he did. I don't think that there's anything weird about that. Blank advised, we discussed Kohberger's tendency to stare at people. Blank thought that Kohberger did this in a way to display power or dominance. Blank mentioned a senior named blank blank that complained that Kohberger stared at her a lot in class and made her feel uncomfortable. Blank blank advised he had not observed any inappropriate behavior from Kohberger aimed at any undergraduate students. He said he thought Kohberger did a good job in correcting poorly written answers, and he had not observed bias or inappropriate tone in grading. One student had made a complaint about this, but blank blank did not see it. Blank blank said Kohberger never discussed knives or edged weapons. Blank blank talked about a conversation he had with Kohberger early on where they discussed the idea of sexual harassment. Blank blank knew that Kohberger had alienated himself from the female grad students by this time. This included 6 or 7 women. Kohberger came up with a line of thought where he said, what if Kohberger had heard about blank blank behaving inappropriately with women, and what would blank blank do to defend himself against a false allegation? God, that reminds me of Brian Drake. Brian Drake did that. The last freaking case. He called in one of his patients and said, hey, I got these women that are, it's only me here at the office. What should I do? And the guy's like, you should get somebody else here, like a desk lady, like a secretary or something. Oh, I can't afford that. Okay, really? Then subject yourself to he said, she said. Like, what's wrong with you? You know what to fucking do. Why are you? It's just ridiculous. Blank blank found this line of thought to be troubling and thought Kohberger was trying to put himself in a position of power. What? Blank said he did not remember any physical injuries visible on Kohberger after the homicides occurred. Jesus. Now this one's wild. Blank said Kohberger told him that Kohberger lived near to where Blank would park while at work. Like these parking tickets. Blank said he found that odd because after Kohberger was arrested and the media reported where Kohberger lived, Blank advised that the building depicted by the media as Kohberger's residence was completely different than the one Kohberger had indicated to blank blank. That's what we were talking about the other night. I was like, you guys, why does it feel like this is the apartment that you show if you want to come and live at Step 2 Apartments? Here, this is the model. And this is what somebody was saying. That, and then wouldn't you ask more specific details? Like, again, maybe we need to hear these interviews, man. Because I want to know what that person said. Where, okay, he said he lived somewhere else. Well, can you tell me where? Give me where did he say he lived? That's just a very vague statement. Wouldn't you want to know more about that if you were an investigator? Yeah, like what? Wait, what? He was telling you that he lived somewhere else? Where? I think that's really bizarre. Blank also wanted to make it known that he was willing to assist the Latah County prosecutor in this case if he could be of service. I asked Blank about Kohberger's research. Blank advised we follow up with the program director how oversaw Kohberger's research. What? These people can't write for shit. What? Okay. On January 11th, FBI Special Agent Mark Zazawiski, he wasn't even on the list to testify. Mark interviewed from the FBI this person, don't know who it is, and this person blank blank about this incident. Specifically, he had spoken with blank blank and blank had reminded blank about a test question regarding the difficulty in prosecuting rape crimes. Blank blank had asked Kohberger to look at the question he had written and to make a revision to the question. When blank blank received the revised question back from Kohberger, he found it to be useless because the language in the question would be triggering to many students. Wouldn't you give them the example? If you can remember something like that, guys, I think I'd remember that detail. I'd be like, this is what this little prick wanted to ask the question as. Boom. And I told him, no, you're not asking it that way. Boom. This is, revise it, bring it back. Blank blank advised the language was dismissive of the victims. Blank blank gave me a printout of his original question. Okay. And the revised question. Perfect. Kohberger had produced and had given to blank blank on November 10th, 2022. I also scanned these printouts and have placed them on the same disk. Why? That's what you would FOIA, guys, right there. When you want to make a FOIA request, this is what you would do. You'd reference report 166 here. Lana teaches. Okay. You're going to go to Idaho State Police. Idaho State Police. Okay. And you're going to write, I am requesting from supplemental report 166 from the Bryan Kohberger case, and then reference the number. Specifically, there you go. Boom. Idaho State Police, I'm requesting from supplemental report 166 from the Bryan Kohberger case. Put that. Specifically, the printed out items from the R question on page 4. Thank you. You ain't going to pay $1 for that. You want to know why? Because how long do you think that's going to take them to search for? November 10th. Now, we further discussed instances with Kohberger that have already... Okay, so then I moved on from that. Okay. Report 167. Blank. This is a female. And this was... this is where I began with my process with Bryan Kohberger. Okay. So this was a PhD student. Okay, a PhD student. Blank and blank are friends who both came to blank where they acquired their master's degree. This meeting occurred at the graduate student orientation. Kohberger came up to them and said, and blank said, she instantly had a bad feeling about him. Blank told blank how she felt, and blank said to give him a chance. Why did you have an instantly bad feeling about him? Because that's what you'd want to know. Blank said that she had confronted Kohberger early on about the way that he was speaking to women. Okay. Blank said she noticed early on that Kohberger did not like people that were not of his demographic. All of this stuff was provided to Steve Gonsalves right after the arrest of Bryan Kohberger. All of this stuff was given to him. So this is exactly where he's getting his information from. And so if I was given this too, I'd be like, okay, who is this? Okay, this girl, she explained that there are a diverse class of different types of people in their class. Well, yeah. That's like a no-brainer when you have such a small, hey, we only accept, let's say, 20 people into this program. Hello, do you guys know what happened in the country back years ago? Let's see WSU put all white males in that, only accept white males. That gets you a lawsuit. Diversity. Like you're going to accept, like, I don't think that's a big secret. I would expect it to be very diverse. Or I would expect those people to get in potentially some trouble. She explained that there are a diverse class of different types of people in her class. On one day, Kohberger was being rude to a deaf student named blank blank. Okay, where's the interview with the deaf student? So that's my note. I said, okay, go find the deaf student. I want to hear what they have to say. Blank said she called him out on how he spoke to her. Blank said she called him out on how he spoke to her. Blank described how Kohberger's mannerisms also contributed to his rudeness. Blank further described that Kohberger would stare at people in an intimidating way. Blank said she would avoid sitting next to Kohberger in class. Yeah, if I didn't like somebody, I wouldn't sit next to them either. If I felt off about them, like, fuck yeah, it's exactly what you would do. Like, I'm not saying by that fucking bastard. Blank told Kohberger that the way he was speaking was condescending and that he speaks that way to women and that it made her feel uncomfortable. Okay. My comment to that is if I saw somebody being condescending to a female student that I was going to school with, right? I would say something about it because I would stick up for that person. And I would say, this person is a total jerk. Like, you're a prick, right? I don't know if a prick would make me feel uncomfortable. I would just say, I think that you're that you're a prick. Okay? Right? I would say, I bet he has a small dick. That's usually what happens when people have to act out of pocket. They got to make up for things that they are lacking. I'd be like, yeah. Or I'd say, what a waste of a dick, because no one's fucking, it's not being used. Come on. Several of the students supported Blank in her rebuke of Kohberger. Kohberger responded to her by saying, I care how you feel, but you are wrong. Like, I'm actually like, what? I care how you feel? Dude, people that are pricks don't say that. They don't give a fuck about your feelings. They're like, I care how you feel, but you are wrong. I don't know. Since that incident, Blank said she has felt targeted by him. Blank became emotional at this point in the interview. Blank said Kohberger has since paid her a lot more of attention. Blank said Kohberger has since paid her a lot more attention. Blank said Kohberger has stood in a way that she couldn't get out of her desk and then started to talk to her. Blank said Kohberger would talk to her. Oh my God. Blank said Kohberger would talk her into the ground about how she was wrong about whatever topic he was interested in. Kohberger would also come into her office and stand in the doorway and would not take any cues that she didn't want to talk to him. And I'm like, take cues, be an adult and say, dude, you need to leave me alone. Get away from me. Do not come around me. I do not like you. You are a fucking piece of shit. Okay? Just because I'm in a class with you, all right? We're never going to be friends. Do not come around me. My opinion of you is never changing. I don't know what the fuck you're doing here. Get the fuck out of here. If you continue to do this, I'm reporting you. Right? Like, I would just think that that would just be what you would do. I would blast his ass. And she seems like she's a outgoing spoke. She spoke up for the person that was deaf. So, what the fuck are you in my doorway for? Get the fuck out of here, you skinny little bitch. Is it just me? Like, you just were picking on some deaf girl. Now you think you're gonna be by my door? Bye. Or I would pick up the phone or text, so-and-so, and I would say, hey, come get your rat. Come get the guy you put in the PhD program. Come get your boy. Kohberger would try and talk to her about the Ted Bundy murders because he knew she was interested in true crime. What? He also name dropped a former professor of his named Ramslin. Blank admired this person and wanted to meet her, but not based on her association with Kohberger. Jeez. Blank said if she was going to meet her, it would be because of her own initiative, not based on Kohberger. Blank said that she was interested in the fact that since the Moscow murders, some people were comparing them to the Ted Bundy murders that occurred at a college sorority, and that Kohberger wanted to talk about those murders with her. You guys, that goes against everything that I've been hearing people talk about, that he didn't want to talk about the case. I'm totally confused here. And maybe these girls are like, we told the university this, we did all these things, and now they're telling us to shut the fuck up. Hey, don't do interviews. Don't talk to anybody. We're going to take care of you. Because we can't have this blow up with our, WSU's program is not going to be, blown up because of this piece of shit. Okay? And is that what Steve Gonsalves is getting at? That the university is protecting the university and not what's the truth here? And so I'm trying to get to the bottom of that. Plank said that Kohberger studied sexual burglaries and their motivations and decision-making. Burglars. The Blank told Blank to start keeping track of Kohberger's behavior toward her. I'm guessing the university. I'm guessing somebody in power. Blank made an informal report to the Blank, but she didn't like the way they responded because she felt that they could not adequately from retaliation. There's obviously, you missed some words. Blank said, this girl said that she continued to report. Blank said she continued to report her experiences to the Blank, see the university, as well as Blank, the program chair, and other professors about feeling unsafe. This is what Steve's talking about. She said she recently wrote in a graduate questionnaire that she continued to feel targeted and didn't know how to handle the situation. You guys, I need to know how you feel targeted. I need to know, okay, you told him off when you felt talking down and dismissive and condescending to the deaf student, right? What happened after that? And she's saying, well, anything that we would be talking about, he basically would go opposite of my thoughts on it, right? and he would tell me that my opinion is wrong. Okay, well, why don't I just tell him, hey, your opinion is wrong? Or I don't give a fuck what you think about my shit. So Kohberger had asked blank if she would be comfortable procreating given the fact she had a disability. What? Blank said she started keeping track of how often he was late to class. Wait, hold on. I skipped a sentence. She said she recently wrote in a graduate questionnaire that she continued to feel targeted and didn't know how to handle the situation. Well, don't ask ChatGPT because they suck. Blank said they were required a discrimination training because of things that Kohberger had said unofficially. What? You guys, this person would not have this type of intel because the school could not tell this person that. That's just her feelings that, well, we had this discrimination training and it was because of what Kohberger was doing. What? The things that Kohberger had said unofficially. What? Kohberger had asked blank if she would be comfortable procreating given the fact that she had a disability. Blank said that she started keeping track of how often he was late to class. For what purpose? Did she read like the handbook and say like, hey, we got to get him kicked out of this program because I'm not going to fucking be around him. And you're going to have to document the things that he does and that he's not living up to the standard of other people, of the standard of what we're supposed to be doing so that we then have a reason to fire him. Like that's what I would be. Like, why are you documenting? I don't get it. But I do. I believe that she's documenting him being late. What's the standard? You have to figure out a way if you're trying to get him kicked out. Like here, hey, I found ways that you can do it. It says the bylaws, you can do this, right? I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. But why would you be keeping track of somebody being late? I wouldn't. I don't know. I just don't engage in people that I don't have anything to do with them. I don't know. There has to be a reason though, and I would want to know the reason. And so it was, the blank told her to start keeping track of Kohberger's behavior towards her. Blank made an informal report to the blank. Okay. Behavior towards her. Did they tell you to keep track of his attendance? Blank said she kept track of the number of times that Kohberger aggressively stared at her during class. In one class, she said he stared at her 9 times. She described instances of Kohberger following her after class multiple times. You guys, do you mean like out of the building? You're walking and hey, like we all have to go out of this building, so we all are walking together to leave, and it's 2022. Wouldn't you be like using your fucking phone to document this shit? I would be using my phone like a crazy person. I'd be like, you guys, we all do it. It's 2022 at the time. You're not using your phone to be like, look at this weird ass. Here, I document all this stuff. I want him gone or I'm transferring. Okay? This dude is off his fucking rocker and you guys aren't doing anything about it. I'm telling you, like, I've been in school for how long? No one's ever made me feel like this. I'm documenting all this stuff. What the fuck? Blank said Kohberger always seems to want to be in the general area of her and others in the program that did not want to have anything to do with him. You guys, I understand this is like a small group. I don't know how, if there's only 20 some people, aren't how, I don't understand. You're going to be by this person. I don't get it. Blank talked about blank student, blank female named blank, who recently had her apartment broken into. She complained to graduate housing, but they didn't help her. Blank said Kohberger took an interest in her. She said the reason this blank and the other blank talked to Kohberger was because they had difficulty understanding English, and they seemed to be the only ones that would continue to talk to Kohberger. Dude, are you kidding me? I could not believe. What? That's why he was only associating with the Asians? Because they didn't understand English? That's the only reason they talked to him, is because they didn't understand English. That is a very that's very wild to say. I don't know. I think that's hypocritical, but Kohberger went to the apartment and tried to support blank. This occurred toward the end of October. How does this person know all of this? I'm just like, how? Why didn't you go help her? Hey, no, anybody but that guy helping you. We'll help you. What's up? Dude, that's a terrible. I'm right. What's up, Heather? Dude, this is crazy. Blank said she has the sense. Blank said she has the sense that everything Kohberger does is very calculated. Girl, and she is saying that she reported this, right? Blank said Kohberger is intimidated by her friend Blank because she stands up to him. Well, then do the same thing. Maybe it's not standing up to somebody. Maybe it's being direct. I look at that as like direct. Like, you guys. It's like you work at a bar and someone's flirting with you and you have a boyfriend, right? Or you're married and you let that person know, like, dude, I don't give a fuck about your stories. Okay, I don't know if you're trying to like hit on me or whatever, but I am happily blank, you know? Like, direct. I don't need you to read social fucking cues. I'm going to tell you. Blank said Kohberger is intimidated by her friend Blank because she stands up to him. When Blank is around Kohberger, Kohberger leaves her alone. When Blank leaves Kohberger, then turns around and starts talking to her. Tell him not to. Blank said the way Kohberger behaves towards her is markedly different when Blank is not around. What the fuck? She talked about one day when Blank was gone and Kohberger would not leave her alone and prevented her from leaving the class. How? Blast that skinny bitch. I mean, I'm so confused because
I will show you weird photos of the killer, Bryan Kohberger's Pullman apartment, very bleak apartment, to determine what, if anything, we can learn. Listen.
New evidence photos show the bleak interior of Kohberger's Pullman apartment and WSU office. Aside from graded papers, criminology textbooks, and a few birthday cards, Kohberger's apartment is largely devoid of any personal items. Police marked a black glove, Kohberger's computer tower, a few receipts, and a vacuum cleaner as evidence items, but found little of value in the sparse apartment. Kohberger's nearly empty home echoes his thin social life. The admitted mass murderer had
Blank said she thought Kohberger's motivation was gratification he got from controlling her. You guys, how was that controlling? I want to know. I want to learn how that is controlling. How am I controlling that person by what she's saying? He wants to be seen as the strongest, smartest, most important person in the room. Then make him feel like he's not. I don't hear anything like, this is what he said to me. This is what he did to me. And if he didn't let you leave the room, wouldn't you say, Professor so-and-so, do you see this motherfucking man right here? He's blocking the doorway. I'm trying to leave. Get his skinny dick the fuck out of here before I call the fucking police. I am done with this human fucking piece of shit, garbage, whatever the fuck. You don't get into PhD programs because you are shy. Okay? You get into PhD programs because you're a go-getter. Because you're a doer. She said their class has sat for hours in class listening to him argue with the teacher about his project. What? Kohberger always wanted to talk about offender decision making. Kohberger gets very defensive when he feels like he is being questioned. On one occasion, Blank had to cut him off when he was going on and on during one of his monologues. Kohberger responded that he felt it was rude when someone would interrupt him. Blank said Kohberger would use qualifying words in an effort to hide behind saying offensive things. Can you please give me an example of that? I want to know what you mean. Blank said one time in November, she found Kohberger in her office. I would have been like, motherfucker, get your skinny, nasty teeth, pale ass, virgin ass the fuck out of my office. What are you doing in my office? I would start recording. I feel like, what are you doing in here? What are you doing? What the hell are you doing in my office? But then she goes on to say that Blank said one time in November, she found Kohberger in her office. She felt uncomfortable and left. Blank shared an office with 3 other people and didn't feel like she should have told him not to be in her office. What? I would ask him, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? What's going on? Why are you here? Well, I'm talking to these other people. About what, Brian? What the fuck are you? What do you want? When she came back, Kohberger was in Blank office with his body turned toward Blank office. Blank later said Kohberger wasn't talking to her about anything important. How do you know what they're talking about? Oh my God. Like, I'm sorry, but this is like, I don't know if somebody came to me. I guess I just never had that even with, let me think, anybody come to anybody about? No, because I bet people. I would feel like this is like I'm dealing with when I was coaching like high school basketball, but this isn't even. I've never people didn't come to me with this stuff either, though, then. About like so-and-so doing this or so-and-so doing that, or how would she know what they were talking about? Blank said that when she came back, he asked her where she had been. She told him it was none of his business. Absolutely, it's none of your business. Blank said Kohberger had bloody knuckles at the time. What? She said the wounds were bad. Blank said Kohberger's recently started wearing a giant puffy jacket even in class. She found this odd. Blank said Kohberger said if he were to ever have a sexual partner, they would have to have no physical or mental disabilities. They would have to be straight. Oh my God. Who wrote this report? Michael Van Looven! Oh my God. I didn't even know this was a Michael Van Looven report. Do you guys want to know how he wrote the word straight? I'm officially deceased. S-T-R. Wait. S-T-R-A-I-T? Oh my God. Wait, what? Van Looven, what? This is a Van Looven original? I didn't even know Van Looven wrote this report. Oh, hell. Oh, hell. I bet you he did really good in geography. Oh, my goodness. The Strait of Magellan coming straight for your throat. The Straits of Idaho. Sorry. Gotta laugh when you can. I mean, I would have popped this. I would have popped Bryan Kohberger if I was this girl and I felt this way, but bloody knuckles. Wow. Okay, so Kohberger said, listen, if he were to ever have a sexual partner, they would have no physical or mental disabilities. They would have to be straight. Well, God, I'd hope so. If they're fucking your dick. You know, I mean, what? He's like, okay, so Ben, you out. They'd have to be straight and the opposite of gender non-conforming. What? How does this even come up in conversation? How does this come up in conversation? You guys, Blank discussed her beliefs that school resource officers were used to discriminate against minority populations in high schools. Blank said Kohberger disagreed and denied there are inequalities and said everyone was equal. Blank felt he was perpetuating the same myths she was trying to bring up. Blank said some people in the program thought he might have autism. Oh, who are those people? Here. Who are those people? Very aware. Dude, nobody knew. Nobody knew about the autism talk. This interview happened and of course, Michael Van Looven. Dude, get the hell out of here. Now, this is amazing. Okay, you're going to sit here and tell me on the same day, so on December 30th, literally right after the arrest, Michael Van Looven is the person that jets right to this chick who I think I know who it is, goes right to this chick and is like, let's talk. So on 12/30 of 2022, this girl is saying people in our class thought that he says right here, he might have autism. She thought Kohberger was a narcissist. Blank said Kohberger was a vegan. Blank said Kohberger knew she was married because she had brought her husband to a get-together barbecue. Her husband and Kohberger had a discussion at the barbecue. So this girl has a fucking husband? Wait, what? So her husband and Kohberger have a discussion at the barbecue. After the discussion, her husband told her that he did not like Kohberger and wanted her to be careful around him. Wow. Blank said she would see Kohberger on a daily basis. Blank said, in all the times she had interacted with Kohberger, he had never displayed empathy toward another person. Interesting. Blank was unaware of any reason for Kohberger to travel to Moscow or any other local towns in the area. What? That's like a ridiculous statement. The reason I said that's a ridiculous statement is because the two colleges are interchangeable. They go back and forth all the time, and there are different places to shop on the different campuses. He would have no reason to go over there. That's just a stupid statement. Blank, you guys have to remember, though, if Van Leuven wrote this up, God, we cannot go off of anything he said. This girl was probably like, I didn't say that. Blank had heard that Kohberger was into boxing as a hobby. Had heard. Who'd you hear that from? You know? Blank said when she first heard of the homicides in this case, she wondered if it could have been Kohberger. Are you kidding me? Then why didn't you report it? How did you even blurt that out? That is crazy to me. But my first thought with that would be is you like to make reports. There's a tip line. There's multiple tip lines. Why not tip it? Tip it like you did with the informal complaint. Tip. You guys, somebody like this, I think, would hit the tip line. I would be expecting her to tip it. Based off of this, I'm shocked that she didn't. Blank said Kohberger was the only student in the class that believed in the death penalty. He believed in it. He believed in the death penalty. Kohberger asked her if her 12-year-old daughter was raped and murdered, if she would support the death penalty. You guys, this is crazy. I'm surprised that they didn't redact that out of here. That's not fair to be talking about her family. Blank noticed that Kohberger was regularly late for classes where a female was instructing and rarely when a male was instructing. I would have to take more into consideration of what time the classes were at and what days. And he was just racking up those parking tickets. Blank said that on one occasion, Kohberger expressed to females in the class that once he was in the job market, they would be screwed in competing against him for a job. What? Blank said she wanted to. Is that in any of the other interviews? Blank said she wanted to think he was just socially inept. But after knowing him, she believes that Kohberger always thinks he is the smartest person in the room and has expressed resentment or jealousy at their successes. Blank said Kohberger is always the first person to express his support of police. What? What? Blank said Kohberger is always the first person to express his support of police. Blank again mentioned her and Kohberger's disagreement about the value of SROs in schools. Blank said she believed Kohberger's question about if someone else was also arrested after his own arrest was an attempt by him to throw people off and not that he had a friend or an acquaintance. Thank you. Why do you think he said that? But guess what? He didn't say that. So Van Leuven asks him about something that didn't occur? Hey, so what do you think would be the reason that Kohberger would say and ask why somebody else was arrested? Is this really, I cannot believe this. You guys, that has been proven not to have ever occurred. Like, that's on any report, nothing. That is made up bullshit. And Bryan Eden should fucking have to tell his source for that shit. Where'd you get your source? Oh, same as always. Same with the other leaky leaks that weren't like the shit that's not the shit that wasn't true. I cannot believe what I'm reading right now. Just so you know, I'm reading this report for the first time because if you guys were here for the earlier part of the show, in creating the unmasking of Bryan Kohberger with the videos and the pictures and stuff that I'm waiting on FOIAs for, because I think that the university, if this was all true, the university has a lot of explaining to do because these reports don't make it seem like what's being said in the media right now. And so I'm curious if there's other stuff out there that, hey, shh. Hey, WSU is not going to get a bad name for this. Blank said she believed Kohberger's question about if someone else was also arrested after his own arrest was an attempt by him to throw people off and not that he had a friend or an acquaintance. That would have been my question to her. Well, because it never happened. I would ask her, hey, I'd go back and interview these people and ask them, what do you think about him taking a plea deal? If he's always arguing with you guys, always arguing, you know, why would he take a plea deal? Did he ever bow out when he was talking to you guys and say, okay, let's just compromise here? Like, okay, that's not what I'm gathering. I'm gathering that he's not that way. Blank said she had heard Kohberger had attended a mixer. Who the fuck calls it a mixer? Had attended a mixer at the blank that she did not attend. Okay, how did you hear this? Were you asking, hey, was Bryan Kohberger there? That just wouldn't even be on my radar, this fucking little snot-nosed punk. She noted she had been told that he had drank a bottle of wine by himself at the event. He doesn't drink, I thought. This is crazy. Who did you hear that from? Who are you guys? That is, wow. Bryan Kohberger just got blasted off of some, Carlo Rossi or some Box Franzia? A bottle of wine. A bottle of red. Blank said she had not heard Kohberger discussing knives or how to cover your tracks at a crime scene. Blank said Kohberger has discussed theoretically about sexual burglars. Blank said Kohberger is very nosy and tries to look at what other people are texting. Takes one to know one. I think, this is what the fuck? Yeah, sorry. I'm trying not to cuss. This is just mind-blowing. I haven't read this. Blank said her friend Blank had Kohberger over to her apartment on one occasion and told Blank that she thought Kohberger had gone through her medicine kit. That motherfucker went through my medicine cabinet. I know he was looking for a heroin. I was fresh out though. Dude, none of these people said, hey, yeah, he's an ex-addict. You know, did Bryan ever say like, hey guys, I got more discipline than any of you motherfuckers because I kicked H and I'm a PhD student. How about them apples? Can you beat that? Can you beat that, huh? Wow. Blank said she had not heard Kohberger talk about offenders studying victims' behaviors before committing a crime. Wait, what? That's what the whole burglary talk is about, I thought. Blank suggested we speak with Blank because Blank felt Kohberger would have discussed his interest in studying violent sexual crimes. Blank said Kohberger committed these homicides because he wanted to know what it felt like to commit these crimes in relation to his studies, and ultimately if he could get away with the crimes, further supporting his belief that he was smarter than others. Blank said committing these crimes and his need to control others is consistent with his personality. This interview was audio recorded. You guys need to go out and get that interview. Surprised it hasn't aired yet. And then I remembered why. Mainstream media is not going to air any of those things because these people were all mainstream media sources and they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. I am just blown away. I'm just, wow. She knows a lot about somebody that she like doesn't like. I wouldn't know anything about this kid.
Just 18 contacts saved in his cell phone and spoke to his parents for hours at a time every single day.
Oh my stars. Of course, Philip Dubé is going to join us in just a moment to tell me how this doesn't mean anything, but I guarantee you it would have meant something to a jury. Did you see his bleak apartment, Dr. Bethany Marshall? That means something. Even his food in his freezer. I remember.
Guys, do you guys know when he bought that food to go in that freezer? He just bought it. He just bought it on the December 5th, December 4th, 4th, 5th, 8th.
A family was over, a friend of my daughter's family was over, and they're very, oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, no, that's not happening in our house. And the family was over.
Nancy.
They're all standing in the kitchen, of course. I opened up our fridge and they literally physically reacted. They went, because the fridge is just crammed with leftovers and blah. It's just, you have to dig in there. It's like an excavation to find something. Look at Kohberger's fridge. I can hear Dubé in the background going, He wants to jump in so badly. Lint on the floor. Oh, is that an...
Oh, something I want to say. So the trailer for the 2020, did you guys take a look at where those pictures are from? The 2020 trailer that's coming out this Friday? The pictures are from the Latah County Prosecutor's Office. You know, up here how they're saying Idaho State Police is the source for those pictures. So 2020's source for the pictures of Bryan Kohberger are from the Latah County prosecutor's office. I thought that was interesting.
Apple he's got in a Ziploc bag on the right. What?
Apple?
You're not supposed to put apples in the fridge. That's it.
What? Where is an apple?
Of lint.
Does she think that's
on
an apple?
The floor. Oh, is that an apple he's got in a Ziploc bag on the right? What? You're not supposed to put apples in the fridge. That said, tofu. Yes. And everything is hermetically sealed. And it looks like that fridge.
Well, this, the apples in the baggie are kind of an OCD type thing, right? Being afraid of germs.
But guys, there's an empty baggie. This Ziploc bag. I mean, are these fucking people blind? What in the world is going on? Like, what is going on? Dude, there are 2-3 baggies right there. Nothing is in them. The other stuff to the right, definitely not apples. Okay. Looks like a lemon to me. Okay. And it looks like it came from the grocery store baggies that just stuff your shit in. This is crazy. These are the people, guys. Lawyers are supposed to be detailed. Okay. Okay. Nancy Grace was a lawyer. Selling that to the jury. Yep. That's some apples there. Even if it was, you're so weird. You have apples in your refrigerator. I mean, come on. Like, talk about the good. Talk about WSU. Talk about the fact that what Steve's talking about. When did they know truly that Bryan Kohberger was the culprit?
Type of antibacterial spray. Hit me, Bethany.
Well, this, the apples in the baggie are.
Did WSU not turn in Bryan Kohberger's information because, oh my God, no, if they come hunting and asking for this stuff, fine, but this is going to come back to us. It's going to be a PR nightmare. Just don't turn in as a tip. You guys, he kept on getting parking tickets in a white Honda Elantra all the way up until he left on like December 4th. Do you guys see those dates on those parking tickets? Holy shit. Holy shit. Well after 11:25. This is just, the more that I'm doing my deep dive,
kind of an
going in a different direction.
OCD type thing, right? Being afraid of germs. I like what the commentator said about a thin emotional life. When you think of the traits of the sociopath as having very shallow emotions, their lives are not rich like ours. They don't put photos around of family members. They don't collect memories of the people around them. They're not comforted by home. If you think of
you guys, if they believe Bryan Kohberger is the killer, my mentality, if I was in their shoes with what they think, I'm thinking everything is where it's at for a reason. Hello? Like, why isn't anybody talking about that? You guys, he would have known if he's ever going to get caught, right? Let's talk about it. If he's ever going to get caught, what is everybody going to do? They're going to dissect every single thing. They're going to look at it. And so it's like, it would be all staged. He would be doing the staging. He, knowing that he's leaving this is how this apartment looks. Come on.
we were talking about earlier about the fact that he has what we call a paraphilia. So a paraphilia is constant at something that is not sexual in nature, paired with attraction towards non-consenting adults. This is something that preoccupies Kohberger. That's all he has room for. So it's not surprising to me when you look at his apartment that there's no sign of emotional richness, emotional life, relationships, anything other than crime and the apples in the baggie, which are both just very compulsive. His whole life is organized around his compulsion, Nancy.
I don't know what you just said.
I don't know what you just said. Nancy, God, you crack me up. I'm sorry, but I just got.
You lost me at being sexually aroused by an item not in nature. Like, I don't know what that means.
No, it's that being a paraphilia.
A paraphilia. Okay.
Is two things. It's being aroused by anything that is not sexual
It's
in
not supposed to
nature,
be.
meaning and also being aroused by a non-consenting adult. That means
because they don't want it. Oh, that turns me on more.
that he would not be aroused by a woman who loves him or wants to be with him. He would only be aroused by a woman who's non-consenting and doesn't want to be with him. In other words, he can't gain sexual excitement by anything other than being around people who really are not connected to him in any way. That's what we call a perversion. You cannot be excited by a full connection with another human being who loves you back. So it creates kind of a shallow perspective in life, and the apartment seems shallow. Like there's no life there.
Joining me now, special guest Chris McDonough, Director, Cold Case Foundation, former homicide.
Actually, I do want to say this. Chris McDonough, I think you should do a show, okay, where let's get one of these cold cases up and back in the media light, okay, and let these sleuths, let these channels, I'll take on and be a competitor of it, and take the people that follow my channel and, hey, let's see how we can help solve this case. Let's get some fresh eyes on this. I would love to look at a cold case. I would love to look at something to help a family get closure. Okay. You got all these sleuths that can find anything. Okay. Put it out there. I would love to see Chris do something like that. Come on. Wouldn't you guys want to try to, I mean, I would. He's in charge of the Cold Case Foundation, right?
Side detective with Joining me now, special guest Chris McDonough, Director, Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective with over 300. Oh, yeah, speaking of OCD, check this out. Shoes lined up. He's staring up at the shelf to make sure. Oh, he's cleaning the creases in his shoe. From what? All that mud? No, from nothing.
Look at how slow he's going, too. Look at how slow. Look at how slow. You guys, Scott Roeder said he believes, of what he's just seen so far, that whoever did this was a calm, collected. This was not rushed, someone running around, nothing, okay? But he also mentioned somebody using their left hand, which totally goes against the narrative that the police literally put in paperwork saying that this crime took 1 minute and 30 seconds to 2 minutes and 30 seconds to happen. I hit the floor. What? 1 minute and 30 seconds to 2 minutes and 30 seconds for the actual, like, once you're inside. Then it's anywhere from 60 seconds or adding on, or 30 seconds adding on from that, depending on the way that he went into the house.
Chris McDonough, Director, Cold Case Foundation, homicide detective, over 300 homicides under his belt. His show is everybody's face, okay? Nobody got it. Nobody did anything, including Washington State University. I'm calling you out, people.
There you go. I knew it. That's why the Gonsalves is one on the channel right there. Good job, Steve. I knew it was for a reason. Nancy Grace is going to put WSU on blast right here.
I found him on the Interview Room on YouTube. That's his show. Chris, when you look at this apartment, what I'm saying is overarching theory here. There were red flags, fiery red flags being waved in front of everybody's face. Okay. Nobody got it. Nobody did anything, including Washington State University. I'm calling you out, people. But
there it is. Hot damn. Hot damn. There it is. That's what this is about.
Are you surprised that there were no blood drops in his home? They got that vacuum cleaner, you know, to do what? To see if there was any trace of the victim's hair, any fibers, even dog fibers from Murphy the dog hair from Murphy. You're the trained homicide detective. When you look at his freaky clean apartment, it gives me the skeeve just looking at it.
You know, Nancy, what jumps out at me is the duality of his personality. If we look at the room as a whole, you can tell there's that OCD, part of his personality. But then you go into his closet. Look inside of his closet to the left side. That is completely disheveled. All of the receipts. There you go.
That's in the front doorway.
All of that tells us a whole other side of his personality. This tells us what the girls were seeing. This is the hidden side of his life, the secret life, as we call it. These are the complaints that we're seeing here, not physically, but this is his personality. It's all about control in the public persona, and then behind the scenes, it's about violence. If you look at the book, there's one book there, The Ivory Tower, on the
Do you mean to use the word organized and disorganized killer?
Floor in his, that was found inside of his chest of other items there. That is about sexual assault of college students. It's called Unsafe in the Ivory Tower. If we look closely at that book, right there to the far right in the bottom right corner, that book is about sexual assault about college students. Now go do the math, right, Nancy?
These are all class. It's all right here. These are all for the class. You guys know that in the office, all of those same books exist because they're actually somebody else's that are in that office that have these same books. They're a requirement. Like you have to buy these books because it's part of the class. I don't understand. He said, go do the meth. Go do the math.
I'm doing it right now. I'm making a note of everything you say. You know what,
Mitch? I'm doing right corner. That book is about sexual assault about college students. Now go do the math, right, Mitch?
I'm doing it right now.
Somebody clip that. Somebody clip that. You know, when you find a funny moment, you got to take it. She's like, I'm doing it right now. He's telling her to go do meth. She's doing it right now. I mean, clip that shit, okay? You're never going to hear that on mainstream media again. Nancy Grace being told to go do some meth by Chris McDonough, and Nancy Grace saying she's doing it. And she's taking notes. Come on, guys. Gosh.
Taking a note of everything you say. You know what's really interesting, Chris McDonough, and this is an aside. This is how you prepare for trial. You get with somebody. I try to get with somebody that knows more than I do. So you can hear their ideas. See, I've looked at those books. I've looked at the titles. But you point out a book about sex assault unsafe in the Ivory Tower, how female co-eds are sex assaulted. It's not just a coincidence. There is no coincidence in criminal law. These are
exactly, Nancy. Exactly, Nancy. Get out of here.
Are all tutorials for Bryan Kohberger, but nobody put together the puzzle pieces, and now 4 students are dead. called tutorials. Sex assaulted. It's not just a coincidence. There is.
Nancy, you just said being a criminal justice student, whether it's at the undergrad level, graduate level, PhD, whatever, that's a tutorial to go and harm people. That is the absolute stupidest thing I think I've ever fucking heard come out of your mouth, seeing that she's part of the criminal justice system. Hi. What's good? This is, I mean, that is just so irresponsible of her to say that. And also, there was not any essay, so I don't know what to help her remember that, but
is no coincidence in criminal law. These are all tutorials for Bryan Kohberger, but nobody put together the puzzle pieces, and now 4 students are dead. You know, Joe Scott Morgan, professor of forensics and forensic expert.
I also want to know if these were classes that he was going to be taking next semester. Okay. They were literally just bought. They don't look like they're like, look at how these are all like very, I think when you look at them flat like that, America's Safe City looks like it's been, read a little bit. A trial by jury. The one up there on top, which is why innocent people plead guilty and why the guilty go free, whatever. But if you look at all these books, especially the research methods, okay, that book, let me take that back. The trial by jury, that's one of the used books. So that's going to look like that. You have to go look at what classes he was taking, what the curriculum, what's your curriculum? What's the syllabus say? What books are you supposed to go buy?
Down.
I mean, these
everybody
people,
get
what's crazy is these people know this. These people know everything that I'm saying right now, and yet they're choosing not to say any of this shit. That's what blows my mind, is that what I'm saying, they know this. They know this. That's why it should tell everybody you can make whatever narrative you want. And so this is the narrative how she wants to present her show for this topic, which I'm trying to understand. If you're going to call it WSU, then get hopping and skipping and jumping over to WSU, plant your table and get out there and do a live and demand some answers for the people.
Understand is not only what happened in Pullman, Washington. I truly hope with everything in my being that they're going back to DeSales, Nancy, that they're taking a long look at everything that he got involved in Pennsylvania and see if there's anything else out there that is very disturbing, where he was interacting with people. I want to know if there's any cold cases around that proximity, because this is something he's been thinking about for a while. And to start off with four homicides, I just think that there's
he went from 0 to 120 MPH overnight. Hey, Sydney Sumner, Joe Scott just said something that jogged my memory. He says Kohberger says to his female coworker, "Let me help you. I'm going to help you set up your Wi-Fi." So he could watch her naked or half naked or cooking or whatever she's doing in her place. Same words, an echo. "I'm going to help you." That's what he said to the murder victim before he butchered her. Another thing that you said earlier, Sydney Sumner, Crime Stories investigative reporter, joining us as evidenced by his devices. Explain.
Well, we've learned that Bryan Kohberger only had 18 contacts saved in his phone. I cannot imagine as a 27-year-old when this first started.
Wouldn't somebody argue the fact that if your phone doesn't have clutter on it, also he just got that phone in June, but would that be also a sign of there's no clutter here? There's hardly anything on the phone. But God help you if you get caught in their clutches. Hold on, I wanted to comment on this.
Investigative reporter joining. He could watch her naked or half naked or cooking or whatever she's.
Okay, they went through his device, his like crazy. And so where is this app that he was using to look at this girl that he helped put in surveillance cameras? Where is that? It's not there.
Relate to them. He just wants to have power over people, and aggression is such a core.
This is why there's a plea deal, because everything that we're talking about right here, none of this would be talked about in a goddamn trial, man. Okay, because that's what Ann Taylor kept saying, is like, this is all speculation. Like, none of this is speculation. That's where Hitler's like, well, if they're an expert, they can opine on their expert opinion. But their expert opinion isn't, what's it coming from? And then that's when he was like, that's for cross-examination fodder. Okay, so let me get this straight. Because I'm of the, how is this going to go down in a courtroom? You know? Like, wow. Like, how are they going to get this conviction? So to me, if you have, which the Barnharts were hired by the FBI in March of 2023. And the only thing that they were asked to do is, hey, here's Bryan Kohberger's phone, and here's his PC. And dig and find whatever you can on these devices. And they said, well, if we were able to get this stuff right after the murders, if he was arrested, he's toast, he'd be done. Because over the course of 6 weeks, he was able to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, what? You guys know, let's see. I would want to hear more of that in a courtroom setting. That because if we would have gotten his devices right away, we would have had all this other stuff. And I want to know what that is. I want to know what they think would have been there. Like, what's missing? Where are these gaps? Where, like, what was he deleting that it wouldn't show up as a deleted artifact when you downloaded his phone in, December, and you guys got that? It's still going to get deleted material from Cellbrite. In the Knowledge C, what do you mean? What about, was it an iPhone? Was it an Android? Were you able to use, if he had Google, aren't you able to track him with his Google? Because he had his Google email set up to his phone, and therefore you're getting your longitude and latitude. And it's like, okay, so he shut off his Wi-Fi 2 days before the murders, right? And it's like, okay, so what does everything show you up until that point? And why wouldn't you disclose the Barnharts as being one of your experts? Okay. They didn't put them on the list until after, because when Ann Taylor had mentioned them, she's like, they're testifying as habit, like behavioral, like habits. What? So I would love to hear like how the question would have to be posed to the Barnharts, then them give their answers, and I would love to have them talk in an atmosphere where that's broken down. Like what were you going to be testifying to that would be different than what Nick Balance is going to be testifying to? You know, why were you guys brought in on the first place? And the FBI brought you in. Okay, the FBI. So if you go and listen to some of the stuff that they said, like and you guys were never asked to look at any of these other devices. Like after Ann Taylor fires off and says, "Hey, these surviving roommates, they deleted all this shit. There's all this stuff missing." Holy shit! Wait, what? You're not gonna go? Hey, we want to have the Barnharts look at this shit.
Part of that personality. I bet he talked to his parents.
I think they were hired to try to find out if you could catch them being where their paths would have crossed. Like that these people like give us something that connects him to the victims. That's what they needed.
For hours, because that was the only place he could even feel a semblance of an attachment. Right? He probably didn't feel attached
It's
to
some
anybody
kind of a
else.
comfort thing, Dr. Bethany, to keep the phone open and talk to your mom until you fall asleep. It's like
It is
sucking a
comforting.
bottle or holding on to your
That's
banky.
right. Yeah, having your little binky in your mouth. Exactly. And that computer in his room, I just can't stop looking at it and wondering what else is in there. Are there other?
There's absolutely nothing on that computer. I don't believe that he ever did any work at that computer. I believe that computer, if Bryan Kohberger is the killer, this is all staged, all of it, to send these. And you heard the Barnhart say at the one time, like, well, I don't want to say it because I don't want to give him any credit. But it, like, they said this was the most difficult job that they've ever had. But it was because you use VPNs and because he was incognito. If you're going to tell me that you can't follow anything that I do incognito when I'm browsing, then I'm going to start using that all the time. Not because I plan on committing a crime, just, well, like that's more or less what they said. Like he was always in incognito browsing. I was like, do you know how many people come incognito to watch my lives so that they can watch the live chat because they are blocked from people that actually have them blocked? And they are so fucking trolling, ridiculous, bedbound bitches by choice. But they want to be able to see who's actually chatting in chat, because if somebody blocks them, then they won't be able to see that. So they come in to people's lives and watch. Literally, they do it. They're like, I just want to watch the comment section. I'm like, that is the creepiest shit I've ever heard. And you do it incognito. You can't comment incognito, but you can see everybody who's on the side chatting that you wouldn't be able to see if they blocked your ass. Talk about weird. Talk about just weird, right? Carson's like, there's a few in here now. Fuck yeah, there are. Yeah, and I just want to ask some questions. I think I'm going to pull it up because what's her name? Ashley Banfield had him on again. And I hate these little clips. Like just what report, when he said that he had to fill out a report and write, hey, you can't take pictures with your phone off. Ann Taylor never said that he took pictures that night. It just showed that in the month of November, he had taken pictures. So he would go out to that area. Okay. He's done that before. So are you able to track his locations on the other times that he went out there? What does his phone show when he would have been out there in November on these other occasions during the time period? What does it look like? Does it have the same type of pattern? That's what I would be interested in, right? And so why aren't they talking about that?
pictures he took of non-consenting adults in public? Like, was he going into bathrooms and putting the mirror and the camera into the stall? Or, I would be surprised if this pervert.
What? I'm sorry. Wait, what?
Onto your
That's
banky.
right. Yeah, having your little binky in your mouth. Exactly. And that computer in his room, I just can't stop looking at it and wondering what else is in there. Are there other pictures he took of non-consenting adults in public? Like, was he going into bathrooms and putting the mirror and the camera into the stall? Or, I would be surprised if this perverse activity was just isolated to the one professor and to the students and to the people in the bars and restaurants.
Wait,
He had to have been
isolated.
doing-
Wait, she just is this isolated and she just rips off like a group of like 100 people. Is this just isolated to, blank?
To your mom until you fall asleep. It's like
It is
sucking a
comforting.
bottle or
I think it's
holding on
very
to.
fucking weird. Okay, that have you guys seen the Manchurian Candidate? Have you guys seen the Manchurian Candidate? They want to talk about American Psycho. I want to talk about the Manchurian Candidate. Do you want to know what Liv Schreiber has his mother's his mom under the contact as? Mother. And I was like, because I did my own research. And so there's another movie out there, and it's the Manchurian Candidate. Okay. And he refers to his mom as mother in her phone. Okay. And if you don't know what that movie is about, go watch it with Denzel Washington. Mother, Manchurian Candidate. Check it out.
That's
banky.
right. Yeah, having your little binky in your mouth. Exactly. And that computer in his room, I just can't stop looking at it and wondering what else is in there. Are there other pictures he took of non-consenting adults in public? Like, was he going into bathrooms?
Yeah, he was taking pictures on his phone, and then he would go home and he would download them to his computer.
Putting the mirror and the camera into the stall? Or, I would be surprised if this perverse activity was just isolated to the one professor and to the students and to the people in the bars and restaurants. He had to have been doing it everywhere.
That's a scary thought. I wonder if bathrooms at these restaurants and where he worked have been checked for, the tiny cameras. They need to check. I don't know if they've thought of that yet. Okay, joining me now, veteran trial lawyer Philip Dubé, joining us out of the LA jurisdiction. Okay, Dubé, I guess.
Okay, here, look at her. Look at her. She's like, I have to bring him in because I cannot seem like I'm biased.
Now you're going to tell me that none of this amounts to a hill of beans, right?
Not even close.
Oh, shit. Nancy knew it was coming. And because
are you going to say that because he's living in an austere apartment as a starving student, basically not having a pot or a window is a foreshadow of a quadruple homicide? I look back at my own college days, and those days we had a beanbag chair and a lawn chair in our living room. Seriously, and to suggest that because he has a quote unquote bag of apples, that it's a sign of loneliness or a sign of sexual fatigue or some other type of psychopath.
Well, what did you say? Because it's not a bag of apples. And I'm just shocked that you didn't call him out, buddy, on saying, Nancy, I don't even see an apple there. Okay. There's actually baggies there that have nothing in them. Okay. Nobody wants to debate me, bitch. I will debate you because I will know the material to have the argument back. And it's not going to be attacking a person. I'm going to attack your argument. And your argument is absolutely fucking wild because there's no apples in there. So literally you're comparing apples to nothing. apples to lemons. Like, what?
does
Not
that.
at all what we said, Dubay. Look, you can
Does
do
people-
your legal analysis, your defense-related legal analysis through your lens, but
I love it. I love him.
at least get it straight. We were talking about the sparsity.
Get your apples straight, honey. Okay.
Of items in his fridge and the way that things were organized neatly and the austerity of his apartment and the lack of any connection.
You know what you want to talk about, Nancy? Here, I'm going to help your argument. Here you go. Ready? Bryan Kohberger bought a 9-pack of gray towels. Do you see gray towels in that apartment, Nancy? No, you don't. Did you find 9 gray towels in the Pennsylvania apartment or house that he lives with his parents? Where are these 9 gray towels that he just supposedly bought? Okay. When it's in the reports, all these Walmart receipts, Target receipts, all this shit. He didn't buy no Dickies coveralls. He bought a beanie. Okay. So here's your argument, Nancy, is there is no cleaning products in there, yet the place is spotless, right? Where's the cleaning products that got it that way? There's no bleach in there. Okay. Right? Paper towels. Come on, let me help your fucking argument, okay? Because your argument sucks. And that's not how you would argue it as a prosecutor. Okay, where's the toothbrush? Where's the toothpaste? Where's the fucking soap if he uses 3 goddamn bars a day? He went to the store to replenish food, and he doesn't go to the store, the same store where he got the food, where you could get all this other shit, and he doesn't replenish any of the cleaning products? Where's the disinfectant? Where are the napkins? Dumb, Nancy. Your argument is he just bought these towels, supposedly a 9-pack of grayish towels. Okay, go to Walmart. I'm going to take that receipt myself and I'm going to go buy everything that he bought. And I'm going to put it on the live underneath Hector. And I'm going to say, this is what Bryan Kohberger bought on this day. Where do you see that in his apartment? And then she wants to talk about an apple that doesn't exist, a fucking Ziploc baggie, okay, that is empty. And somebody that's OCD and that would have just cleaned up, right? He made a mistake. He didn't look at the vacuum, right? He didn't clean out the vacuum and dump it all out to take it out with the trash. Okay. Oh my God. So what did he leave in the vacuum? And guess what? Nothing is there. You guys started off this conversation with saying to Chris McDonough, and he doesn't even answer the question because you go on these wild tangents, Nancy, just to hear yourself fucking talk. You asked him a really good question, but you didn't let him answer it, which was, where's any of the blood? Where's any of the trace? Where is it in this apartment? It's not there. And he didn't take it, dump out the vacuum. So when you go through that, what'd you get? That bathroom, you guys, why didn't they take out the drain? Why weren't they lifted? You guys don't want to do things like this when you know you're not going to find anything. When the woman went missing about a year ago, and her husband, remember the bathroom? What was her name? Poor thing. Poor lady. The mom, what was her name? You guys know what I'm talking about. They took apart that bathroom. They ripped out that bathroom, actually had carpeting. And they took apart the sink. And to get in to, and they found all this blood. Okay. It was over there in Virginia. God, yes, the Indian one. What was her name? Oh, God. Some with an M. I'm pissed I can't remember it. Anyways, why wouldn't you expect them Where are the pictures of them taking apart his bathroom and getting into the drain and getting in and testing that? Yeah, Matama. Yes, 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 yes. Why wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you do that? I'll tell you why you won't do that. Why wouldn't you do it? We can't have that shit coming up negative. So let's not even do it. Because that would look good for Bryan and bad for us. So we're not going to do that. Even though I would be like that's hey, you'd be taking that shit apart, man. Why wouldn't you? And then wouldn't you have gotten, okay, so the other thing I would think that if he was cleaning that apartment and I'd be looking at where could he have ever like dumped this, like to thrown out the garbage, not in the dumpster right there, but maybe he pulled like a Barry Morphew and was going around and putting going to different garbage, like McDonald's and putting something there, going and driving around and putting stuff in dumpsters. Wasn't he doing that? So they only want the November 13th stuff. I would want in that area, and I'd have people, hey, go through this and see if we got anybody going to these gas stations or if he'd be dumping anything in other like places that hey, that's what I would have gotten.
To anybody, another human. Did you see his mom and dad in a framed photo by his bed? Or
which you would expect if he's going and resting his head there and just talking and sucking on titties with his mommy. Where's his mom's, picture?
A lot of pieces of paper and memories and ticket stubs. And
my college boyfriend did not have pictures of his family up in his room next to his bed. Okay. I don't remember looking over at the alarm and seeing his mom and dad,
Photos stuck to his wall with Scotch tape. No. He's like a robot. He's a machine, a killing machine. And it means something. Whether you want to admit it or not, it means something.
The guy's on the spectrum. Don't you remember? He has Asperger's. You know what that is? It's a social awkwardness. He doesn't know how to relate to other people. He's alienated himself. Nobody wants to be around the guy, let alone give them their telephone number and address to be added as a contact to his phone. That is one of the symptoms of Asperger's. They don't have a social network or people in their orbit. So if you were to look at it from afar, compared to other healthy, able, working, assiduous college students, he stands out. But to suggest that this is all a symptom or a foreshadow of a quadruple homicide, that is psychobabble.
It is psychobabble. It is. Boom!
Please join us on our mission to find missing people,
Get him on the
children,
channel.
to solve unsolved homicides.
You guys, there's just
if you're on the go, catch
make,
us on your favorite podcast app where you can get
22 King Road.
That's why Bella always challenges me. She's like, here, I want you to do a challenging one. And how would you go about certain things and blah, blah. And that's what you do. And these just aren't your arguments. This is just not my argument. Also, what the heck? Dude, there are so many things that were going to be inadmissible, or even if they came in on this trial, I'm telling you, it would have got him a damn appeal. There is, they're not getting in some of this stuff just flat out like, that's why Ann Taylor needed these reports. What were these people going to say? What's their expert opinion? Okay, I need these so that I can see what this person's going to say. And then I need to take it to an expert to say, hey, have you ever seen anything like this before? Here you go. Like, our job should be, hey, The right people get put away, and it's at the expense that everybody has a fair trial. That's how you get true justice. That's how these victims, hey, this is what happened. This person's paying for it. This is how we got to the person. It all equals to the point of beyond a reasonable doubt with our jury system. Boom, boom, boom. Right? When you don't handle things appropriately in the right way, it leads to all of this other shit. Why can't people just admit, like, call a spade a spade? That's the issue. The issue is because stuff wasn't handled correctly because of money. Because WSU can't be looking like they hired a murderer. And then Idaho, Moscow, oh my God, we're such a safe place and this would never happen here. And blah, blah, blah. Like, we can't have things like this, And then you got the police department. They're not writing up any reports. Idaho State Police, they're not writing up reports for months. Months. Ann Taylor has to put in requests. Then after she puts in requests, then they write up a report and then they give that report to Ann Taylor. What? Yeah. So the original discovery that was given to her, look at the date when it was asked for. Every report that was written after that date, look and see if it came from something that Ann Taylor was requesting. Okay, now we have to do something like, okay, now we have to give this to you. Then I find it absolutely, it wasn't until we got these pictures, you guys, and we got to see, holy shit, Bryan Kohberger had 7 tickets? Parking tickets? Parking tickets. They had everything flagged for white Elantras. This man, after the murders, was driving his car. Okay. Yeah. He had to go change his plates because guess what? They were going to expire. He needed to get residency there so that he could be a resident of Washington. It's going to be a lot less money, blah, blah, blah. But more importantly, he knows that he took a car to a murder scene, committed murders, right? And then is going to drive his car, park it all over campus to a point that you are getting tickets. And it's going to flag. And then imagine this. The BOLO goes out. The BOLO goes out internally, supposedly November 25th. I don't even believe that. I think it was before that, but whatever. How I believe that and know that is because on November 19th, Tyson Barrett writes up a report a year later and says, yeah, on November 19th, I asked for X, Y, and Z. And it was all about an Elantra. And he asked and he did all this stuff on the 19th. The 19th. Now I know why Tyson Barrett was not on the witness list for the prosecution, but he would have been called by the defense. Dollinger would have been called by the defense. Again, there was just to see these names. Ed Jacobson not on the state's witness list. Ed Jacobson was the one that gave the email. The FBI dude gave the email to the other FBI guy, Immel and Rob Hill, to, oh yeah, okay, November 23rd. Yeah, this, off of this photo, we're looking for a 2011, 2013 white Honda Elantra. How is that not, how does Ed Jacobson not coming in to explain that to the jury? He's the one that found the fucking shit and sent it to his other co-workers to say, okay, yeah, this is why we're going on that it's a white Honda Elantra. There's also 7 charges total that the car could be these things. This one. The people that weren't on the prosecution witness list that were state or federal or local law enforcement is mind-blowing. It's like, what? How is this person not on there? How do, like, Ann Taylor is going to be calling. Vicky Gooch, not on there. Wild.
attorney claims many of the photos constitute an unwarranted invasion still visible for the families. They've been plastered across the internet, news channels, and social media, often
on the case. Okay, so now the family that's still dealing with the murder, the brutal murder of their children, are having to take on a fight so these vile photos are not released. Why would they be released? I mean, somebody files a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act. So what?
Exactly. Stacy Chapin, Ethan Chapin.
Do you hear these arguments? So what? So what? How can you claim to be in, listen, ethically, morally, I support the parents and I would be right with them in saying, no, I don't want these to go out. I don't want them all over the internet. I don't, what parent wouldn't? You know what I mean? But the unfortunate thing is that this investigation and how everything played out has made it that people there's no trust here. Nothing's making sense, right? And so people are wanting to FOIA because, hey, we're going to find out what the hell just went on here because we want to have faith. Okay. I want to also have faith in Ann Taylor. I want to have faith in this process, right? And so, boom. But for Nancy Grace to say, how damn dare you go and get a FOIA? Like, what the fuck is she talking about? What in the fuck are you talking about? Nancy, why do you think people are doing it? I'm curious. Why do you think people are FOIAing? Why do you... What? And then of all people you're going to talk to is Susan motherfucking Hendricks. Are you out of your mind? Susan Hendricks sucks. She was copying off of fucking Bella and her fucking notes at the Delphi trial. Fuck you, Susan. You suck.
Mom and also Maddie Mogan's family.
Oh, we were in fucking high school.
Filed this and said it
hey,
opens
you
a
need some
link.
help? What, you want to see my notes? Sure, when we're done, I have no problem. You could take I'll let you take a picture. Stop fucking breathing down my neck and looking at my shit and get out of my space. Okay. But I can't help it that you can't write and listen at the same time. Okay, well, when this is all over, we'll help you out. Just ask.
This is what Stacy said. That's not healed yet. In Delphi, Nancy, they were sealed. Sadly, there was a leak of the crime scene photos early on, but the autopsy sealed. Decision made by Judge Fran Gull, and I think it should be made here. But there was a hearing on this, and the judge said that he will make a decision down the road. So I hope so. I mean, why do we have to see that exactly?
I mean,
you guys are
get
comparing
it.
oranges to
They want
apples.
a case. You're seeing some of the photos that have been released. We are not.
You guys, these are state. Indiana isn't Idaho. Idaho isn't Indiana. Susan, what the fuck are you talking about? God bless America. Do they even know what's going on here? They don't. That's the thing. These people have no idea what they're talking about. That girl probably took 2 hours to put her makeup on. Probably 3. Okay? You should have taken those 3 hours to research.
Showing bloody photos of the victim's blood in the crime scene, the home on King Road. The families have been through enough. Not only that, now witnesses are being threatened.
Who?
Death threatened.
What?
Listen.
Judge Hippler weighing redaction. Attorneys say witnesses' names should remain private, as witnesses have been threatened and stalked, hiring private security and relocating from their homes. In particular, attorneys believe Kohberger's alternate perpetrators should be kept from the public. Hippler asked for the information on each intended redaction, including their roles in the case and whether they have already been identified in the media.
Okay. Sydney Sumner, Crime Stories investigative reporter, also on the Kohberger case. I take it that there have been a lot of threats on witnesses, but the witnesses that are getting the most serious threats are the ones the defense wanted to use as if some other dude did it, scapegoat, and they knew all along it wasn't true.
That is correct. Those are the witnesses that attorneys on both sides are most concerned about getting any kind of threat or having safety concerns with their names being made public. And the defense at this point has admitted that those people were never involved in this crime. And
What? Wait, what? That's a lie. Oh my God. Wait, whoa. Holy backup. Oh my God. I'm going to fall out of my chair. Wait, what is going on? Oh my God, Lana. Okay, calm down, girl. Simmer down, pups. Calm the titties. Okay, wait, what? Who is this?
Scapegoat, and they knew all along it wasn't true.
That is correct. Those are the witnesses that attorneys on both sides are most concerned about getting any kind of threat or having safety concerns with their names being made public. And the defense at this point has admitted that those people were never involved in this crime, and this was simply a defense. They were trying to point.
What are you smoking? For the record, I have read every single document. That is absolutely not true. That's part of that's why I want these that's why we've been asking for these to be released. All the documents that have been filed under seal. Okay. Because Ann Taylor can't just go filing shit like this in bad faith. What is she what she is actually saying here? Does she have any idea what this is implicating? Ann Taylor would lose her license. Ann Taylor would literally lose her license. You can't do this. Ann Taylor didn't admit to saying that, hey, just for the record, none of these people really had anything to do with the fucking crime. This is just our defense, and this is what we were doing. Ann Taylor never said that. Whoever this crazy crime stories woman is being interviewed, Cindy, stop drinking the syrup. Cindy, what are you talking about? What Ann Taylor did say, and it wasn't, I don't even know if it came from Ann Taylor or if she had one of her people write it up, but that the witnesses' names should all be redacted just because nobody should be subjected to harassment or anything like that. You guys, Ann Taylor never said, oh, hey, you know that third-party culprit stuff? Pfft. None of that was true. We were just doing it for a defense. I want to call Ann Taylor's office and ask if she has any comments about this. Do you have any comments about Sydney? What the fuck's this broad's name? God damn it. I'm speechless. Where you at, Sydney Sumner? She needs to retract this statement. This is crazy.
Attorneys on both sides are most concerned about getting any kind of threat or having safety concerns with their names being made public. And the defense at this point has admitted that those people were never involved in this crime, and this was simply a defense. They were trying to point the finger elsewhere to say it was not Bryan Kohberger that committed this crime. So that has been disproven, but we know how many people support Bryan Kohberger. We saw the Reddit threads. We saw the Facebook groups trying to prove Bryan Kohberger's innocence.
No, we're trying to prove. We're trying to just prove transparency. That's what we're doing over here. Prove his innocence. I'm trying to understand. Why in the world this would carry on for 2.5 years and a plea deal wouldn't have happened right off the rip?
So they want to protect those people that were named in this alternate perpetrator theory and make sure their names are not leaked to the public so no one can do anything to put those men in harm's way.
How do you know they were men? This broad. Sydney. Crime stories with Sydney. Wow. Sydney Sumner.
Dr. Bethany Marshall, the victims' families call them the, quote, pro-burgers that are still going online. I see it every time I dare to look at social media, that he was framed. They're actually death-threatening witnesses, especially threats going to the some other dude did it scapegoat the defense came up with, knowing full well Kohberger committed the murders. They were going to blame somebody else in open court, and it leaked out. And now the scapegoat blames somebody else in open court, and it leaked out. And now the scapegoats.
What is show? What leaked out? Nancy, you are so wrong. Okay, none of this happened. Nothing leaked out. They filed a motion. Third-party culprit. Nothing leaked. Dude, Nancy, I get it. You can say whatever you want. And even if like 500,000 people say you're wrong, you still have 400,000 other people, okay, that just listen, right? They're watching this. A platform of almost, what is it, 700,000 people?
Are getting threats. What is
Nancy,
wrong with these people?
That's what I'm saying. What is wrong with these people? Where can we see that people are getting threatened? Who's getting threatened? File with the police departments. Oh, that's right. You'd have to deal with who? Keystone.
Do you know 3 to 5% of the general population has the same personality disorder that Kohberger has?
So now you're saying he does have a disorder? Oh my God, I am so done. Wow.
So it's not surprising to me that he has this huge following. Kohberger probably did what his minions or followers wish they could have done themselves. They just don't have the courage to do it, Nancy.
Oh my God! What?
He's their king. They are pro-burger, and they probably are harassing anybody who they feel is going to bring the king down. That's just what's happening here.
And Joe Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, I can't stress enough the brutality of the crime scene photos. They're worse than any so-called slice and dice video you've ever seen.
What is she speaking of? Why would she even say that, Nancy? Slice and dice? What is wrong with you?
Demise these victims. I mean, I can't convey.
You are such a little. This is condescending. Don't patronize me. Shut the fuck up, man. This is crazy.
The nature of these photos, Joe Scott.
It's very difficult to do that. Nancy, reflect back just for a moment. Do you remember being in?
Dude, the defense said that there was multiple perpetrators, not just one. Okay, that it was a staged crime scene. It was cleaned up, all of this stuff. Okay, and they had experts that were going to come in and say all this shit. We have nobody writing reports, and the next thing we know, wait, there's a plea deal and there's a plea happening right literally in the eve of trial. What the heck? What's going on here? What happened? it's just holding everybody accountable.
Pre-trial as a prosecutor, and when we're over the table and you're trying to decide what you're going to use in order to describe what happened. All right. And some of these images in our circumstances, you and I, over those years ago, you think, do I really need to show this to the jury to get the point across? Because we would have to use our discernment in order to do that. Because some of these things are so over the top, Nancy, I can't need to see them. Outside of court, this thing has been adjudicated by this at all over and over and over again. And someone would actually saw the image.
Oh my God.
Just let that.
I just figured it out. Guess who fucking Sydney is? Sydney works for fucking what's her tits? Sydney Sumner is Nancy Grace's fucking source, and she works for her. So Nancy Grace, you're the one putting that out. You are Sydney. Cindy Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. Fucking A. Holy shit. Sydney Sumner works for Nancy Grace. She writes for Nancy Grace. She writes for Crime Stories. This is Crime Stories. Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. How the fuck has Nancy Grace not caught a lawsuit? I want to know. The defense has admitted it. What's her tits? You like that? My day's complete. You like that? You guys, I've never... She literally had a girl on who is part of her brand. And so it's Nancy's Nancy Source. Dude, Nancy's Nancy Source. The defense has admitted it. That none of those people that were third party culprits, none of them did this. This was just how we were gonna get off a killer. And then she says that all these people that are saying Bryan Kohberger was framed are people like him in this 3 to 5% and have mental problems, and that they wish that they had the balls to do what he did. But y'all are too pussy to fucking actually go through with it. And you guys wish that you could be a pro-burger who could actually go through with killing 4 people. Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I cannot believe that this was put out there. You guys, this is put out on like an almost 1 million person platform. Well, for the record, I am not a motherfucking pro-burger. Okay. Number 1. Number 2, I wish that I'm Lana. Okay. And these people are absolutely delusional. These people on this show are absolutely out of their fucking minds. All right. To have Steve and Christy come on and to do this with them actually on this program here for this episode is completely crazy. Why Steve went on this platform, I know, is because of the WSU angle. That, hey, WSU, why are you basically protecting Bryan Kohberger? Because that's the way of protecting yourself. When did you truly know about this? What the hell is going on? And wants to have WSU held accountable for what they truly knew when they knew it. And I agree with these parking tickets. These parking tickets prove that a white Honda Elantra would have been flagging through the system, and he just kept racking up parking tickets. Woo! Doing donuts in the lot, arriving 30 minutes late to class, parking his fucking piece of shit Elantra wherever the fuck he wanted, in handicap spots, in front of fire hydrants, while he's flicking off all the girls and asking them if they want to come take a ride with him. Who knows? But all of this was kept on going after the murders. before the murders, after the murders. There's 7 parking tickets, and Bryan Kohberger didn't pay one of them. They're all just there in his apartment, and they were $60 tickets. And if you don't pay them at a certain date, we're going to add $30 onto that. So now it's $90. So then, depending on how you paid these parking tickets, you could have potentially also got his phone number. So I'm on this path of, I want to know when you go to pay these parking tickets. Ann Taylor was on the angle of, let's talk about that 7 days. November 13th plus 7 is November 20th. I personally believe that they had the name of Bryan Kohberger on November 19th. On November 19th. And how they got it was WSU, and how they were trying to keep it all out of that circle with WSU. Okay. That's just, I'm looking at this angle because these parking tickets why on November 19th is Tyson Barrett with the FBI going to, why is what's his name, Mowry, acting like he didn't have anything to do with the 1112 camera. Meanwhile, he had it on November 13th. He had the password back there. They had the Linda Lane camera on November 15th. They had the passwords to it. They could get in, that they were the owners of these cameras. They could do whatever. They did manipulate. Somebody manipulated the 1112. It would have never been able to be admissible. It speeds up. You guys can go watch it yourselves. November 19th comes around. Oh, and I'm sorry. On November 18th, they say, hey, let's get that sheath. We're going to make a decision here. The sheath gets transported on the 16th by 2 people, gets to the lab. The lab finally, okay, hey, we were able to pull a profile on November 20th. Blaker, get over there, and we're going to make this decision that we are taking that to Othram. You made this decision within like lickety split time to get that to Othram. We're going to do IGG on that. And we're going to go this route to say that this is how we got to him. But we're really not going to then use that route because we can't, because we got in different databases. So why don't you guys just say how you really got it? What's the big problem here? What's the problem? Because WSU didn't do anything. Because WSU is liable. Because WSU is negligent. What the fuck was going on? And so the reason that Steve Gonsalves went on that channel, Nancy Grace, okay, was to go and talk about WSU. And she literally brings up WSU for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. But not everybody was hip to the whole, this is how we're doing things. You don't bring in like the Van Leeuwens of the world. They're not telling him what the hell's going on, Why do you think that they had to distance themselves from Pullman and WSU? All of it's adding up now. As soon as I saw those pictures with those parking tickets, I said, get the fuck out of here. I said, he was just riding around, whipping around with his hoopty. Let me go get these parking tickets. Let me just park, knowing that I could get a parking ticket that would flag my damn car into the system. Have you lost your minds? And then when that does happen and it flags, it could also then be the potential to say, hey, look at what we have over here. And so that's where you have people saying that could somebody be framed? Okay. Why Bryan Kohberger? Where did his name come from? Well, I'm over here showing you that path, but I'm also showing you a path of, well, WSU and Steve saying, hey, all these girls and all these people were saying all this stuff and nobody's doing anything. And he should have never been at that school. He should have been kicked out. I don't think that would have prevented him from killing anybody. He was still going to kill people. Because I don't think, in my opinion, that Bryan Kohberger would, I don't think that he sought those people out. I think that it was, if it wasn't that house, it was going to be another house. But this is crazy. And if you believe the PCA, no one's talking about the PCA anymore. because they all know it was lies. So that's where my hang up is. I'm just like, God, just violating.
Sink in.
Brutal photos, family.
Before losing 130 pounds just in time for his 16th birthday. Kohberger bragged about the weight loss in a job application, claiming his dedication to running and boxing qualified him for the part-time security job at a school in his hometown's Pleasant Valley district.
Again, Dr. Bethany Marshall, I don't know what it means, but it means something. Bryan Kohberger, obese, then goes on a crash diet. A crash, oh my goodness, yes, okay. A crash diet. It means something. I don't know if it was to lure women. What does it mean?
He couldn't get women. It didn't matter if he was fat or skin. What?
The body.
You can see up here in the corner, Latah County Sheriff's Office. This picture is from the Latah County Sheriff's Office. How did the Latah County Sheriff's Office get that picture? That's their source for this. Latah County Sheriff's Office? What?
The image. How does that factor into this?
Well, antisocial personality disorder, which is used interchangeably with sociopathy and psychopathy, it causes impulsivity and dysregulation, meaning the people cannot control all of their emotions, overwhelm them. So somebody who's dysregulated and impulsive is just going to eat anything that's not nailed down. Okay. So he probably had to go into this total starvation mode, vegan, vegetarian mode to get the weight off.
You're going to eat anything that's just not nailed down. Like them apples.
So he could predate on women. I mean, you're right. He had to look great to lure women. And what was one of his first jobs? It was as a security guard, a position of power. He was already graduating to the next thing, which would be working in an academic environment where he would have access to women and could study criminology. So it had a dual purpose, access to women. And at the same time, he was learning and preparing for the upcoming crime.
You know, Chris McDonough, I'm thinking through.
Oh, back to Chris.
All of these red flags. The bleak apartment, the lack of contacts, the objectification of women he would put as a contact, red hair. I'm trying to take it all in. But one of the most disturbing is that Washington State University knew there was a big problem. When they heard about the murders, they went, it's Kohberger. They knew. It's Kohberger. But they let him stay. If they had fired him long before, maybe these murders would not have happened.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nancy. I mean, what did they know, right? They obviously had a PhD, piled higher and deeper.
Yeah, Nancy, that's just a great question. Dude, Nancy, don't you think he would have killed if it isn't there, it's somewhere else? No, he just wasn't going to kill?
Yes, access to women. And at the...
You know, Chris McDonough, I'm thinking through.
Chris has just sat in the background for 40 fucking minutes of the show. He has spoke one sentence. And now here he comes back on.
All of these red flags, the bleak apartment, the lack of contacts, the objectification of women he would put as a contact, red hair. I'm trying to take it all in. But one of the most disturbing is that Washington State University knew.
Girl with the red hair, you guys. I did that at the bar all the time. Bud Light Bobby. Oh my God. Miller Lite Johnny. Pot Belly. Ditz's two left, like, 2 seats over. Blonde. Glasses. This is how I would name my bar tabs at the bar when they would order drinks and I didn't know who they were. And then they kind of just took on that name. So even when I found out their name was Sarah, it was still Blonde Sarah. That's how I listed the bar patrons. Bad Tipper Tommy, Fuck, you can have that table and his tips.
Knew there was a big problem when they heard about the murders. They went, it's Kohberger. They knew, but they let him stay. If they had fired him long before, maybe these murders would not have happened.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nancy. I mean, what did they know, right? Did they obviously had a PhD piled higher and deeper on complaints about Bryan Kohberger. And also, if we look back into his apartment for a minute, you know, and this is his office here, you know, it's just such a bleak personality. But look at the birthday card to the left. It's Teddy Roosevelt on a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And there's a comment on that says, this is basically your egos and your personality. You know, carry a big stick, but make sure, you know, you eat them, i.e. right there, both of your egos. This is a whole other lane for Doc to tell us about. But this really is Bryan Kohberger, and other people saw it. And carry a big stick, but make sure, you know, you eat them, i.e. right there, both of your egos. This
Speak softly and carry a big
is
stick.
a whole other lane for Doc to tell us about. But this really is.
Unless you can ride a dinosaur. Chris, this is Tina with What the Fuck Translation Services. What in the fuck are you talking about? Where does it say that you can eat them? What is his obsession with eating people? Do you understand that this is not the first time that Chris McDonough has said something about eating people? What is he? I mean, ride a dinosaur, it says. It does not say, it says ride a dinosaur. Does it say eat people? Ride a dinosaur. So you're saying, oh, well, God, everybody knows that dinosaurs eat people. No, we weren't fucking around when dinosaurs were around, were we? Dinosaurs weren't eating people. Weren't they here, like, I don't know, way before we existed? God. Hannibal, I mean, you guys know that he's always talking about eating. Just like that apple. I don't know. I don't even know. It's called the fucking joke card for funsies. These people inhaling point. Yeah. Yeah. And they think that this was coming into a trial. It's not. It's fucking not. None of this shit that they're talking about is coming into a goddamn trial. And I think it just goes back to my thought on just like, wow, you know, why aren't we just saying he admitted to killing people, right? But doing all of this shit, that's like ruining the I admitted to killing people part. Because this is horrible. You know, I take offense to, if you study criminology, that you're going to go kill people. And I take offense to if I demand the truth and want transparency from the people that are in power to protect us, that there's something wrong with me, go fuck yourself. There's something wrong with you. And all the people that you had on this panel, minus the Gonsalveses, like, go all fuck yourselves. The Gonsalveses came on this show because they wanted her to talk about WSU. And, geez, Nancy, read her fucking room. That's what they wanted. And I think you probably would know that, right? They would tell you that.
Is Bryan Kohberger, and other people saw it, and WSU most definitely saw it.
Okay, Dubé, what do you make of the Freedom of Information Act to release these brutal photos? The judge has taken it under advisement. I don't see there's any way that you can redact out all of that gore.
No. And first of all, I don't even know who would want it. I mean, seriously, I mean, what type of would the petitioner be into?
Freaks.
Yeah, gore court is what I call it. But make no mistake about it, that just because somebody files a petition to make these photos public doesn't mean the court's just going to grant that petition. It's subject to a balancing test where court has to balance the public interest in disclosure against the privacy interests of the next of kin. And if you have a situation where you can prevent,
like I said, you can thank Ann Taylor for
trauma,
that, in my opinion.
preserve dignity.
Like Ann Taylor and her filings. The only reason I want to see the crime scene is because I want to know if I was to give it to an expert, and I don't want, like, you can redact, like, blur the body, all that. I don't want to see that. I'm talking about, like, for somebody like a Scott Roeder or whatever expert you're going to be talking to with whatever document gets released for that specific thing, to be talking in the sense of, hello, all you people do is study things, right? Why do you want to talk to the kill? Why do you want to interview Bryan Kohberger? All these people right now that are talking, if you think any of these people would turn down to interview Bryan Kohberger, the answer is absolutely no. Like oh yeah, I want to interview him. Oh yeah, I want to interview him. Why? Why would you want to interview him? Why would you give him the time of day? Why would you give him your platform? Money. That's why. Money. Oh no, I'm interested to know why he did it. Oh, you think he's going to tell you why he did it? They just lie. This is all propaganda bullshit, man. Fuck out of here. Anyways, they would all interview Bryan in a heartbeat. What would be and why is my question. He's a freak, right?
And prevent further distribution of this type of carnage, the court can deny it. There is no automatic right to this material. And frankly,
there it is. See, take it easy. Don't give up. Wasn't it like their motto or something in there?
I could see somebody who's into this type of imagery further disseminating it on the black market somewhere, maybe to share in this type of gorecore or to even profit.
Okay, so 3 people shared this office. You guys, it's bare, like,
profit from it. Who in their right mind would even want this stuff?
Yeah, blood money.
Blood money. What? You guys, why would you buy it when you just, if once it's for you, go get it? Why would you pay for something when you just have to send a little notesy poo, an email and then you're going to get it? I don't understand what they're talking about selling it. Excuse me? Who could possibly make money off of this when you just can FOIA it yourself?
Money, Dubé. You ask, who is it? Probably nobody that you associate with. It's probably the same people that wanted Nicole Brown's autopsy photos. Those people. And they do make money off of it. You know what? For once, Dubé, I pray that you are right. And the 2 judges involved in this matter will hear your voice tonight, Dubé, as we all join the victims' families and ask the judges, please do not release these photos, these images, this audio, where you can hear crying and see what happened to the victims. Please don't do this to their families. Don't say the law compels. The law does not compel. Dubé was right. You are responsible for the release of these photos, Judge. It's on you.
Mm-hmm.
As we wait for justice to unfold, we remember an American hero, Officer Darren Burks, Dallas PD.
As we wait for justice to unfold, Bryan pled guilty. What justice are we waiting to unfold? I can't even. Okay. This broad makes absolutely no sense if you actually listen to the words coming out of her mouth. None whatsoever. Again, I pulled up these parking tickets. I want to show you guys these parking tickets one last time. These parking tickets, and then I'm going to call it here. These parking tickets just, woo! Trust me, I don't. Here, parking tickets. Okay. These parking tickets. Look at this shit. Bryan just whipping around. Okay. So when I was zooming in, I was like, okay, let's look at this date. I was like, wait, what? I was like, that is 11/4. 11/4/2022. And if it's not paid by, the fine increases to this if not paid by 12/3. Okay, so that was 11/4. $60. Then that is 10/19. Didn't he get pulled over on 10/19? Or was that October 14th? Then we have 9/20, 9/15. 9/15. Okay. Then over here, we have 10/25. 10/31. Boom. 12/01. That's where I said, looky here, and 11/21. Those are after the murders. There's two of them, and they would have 11/21 is after 11/19. You guys, they would have flagged the fucking system. They would have known about him. Like, a white Elantra just got a parking ticket. Holy shit! Who is this? They already had reached out to the systems, and you can prove it if you go and you look at the MPD report from Tyson Barrett. He writes up this report on I think it's report 213. Do you think he got that is his birthday? This is the first time. So based off of those pictures, these tickets, it changes a lot for me. It changes a lot for me. What times? Make it bigger. What times? Let me go over here and clicky. Okay. I'd have to probably put that through something to try to clean that up. Let's see. Okay, the time is going to be up here in the right hand. Let me see if there's one that's not. Okay, the time is up here in the right hand corner. Okay, this one's 14:34. 18:23. I don't know what that one says. I'd be guessing too much. Let's see. 19. So you're looking at like 7 something at night on the 1. I mean, that's one I think says 19. I mean, we could try to pump in. I'll do some work. Let me do some work on that, and we'll see if we can pump them in to the system. You guys, colleges, that's how they make a ton of money. Okay, they drive around, and if you're, if there's a meter and your meter's up, they ticket you. If you're parked in like a handicap and you're not, handicap, if you're parked in front of a high, there's reasons. We'll do some digging. Chief Jenkins said it was the wrong year according to the Bolo. That's why. Chief Jenkins is full of more fucking hot dogs than anybody I know. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today and loving all of your guys' comments. Grower and Steve G said they found BK's car. Well, someone needs to ask Anjanette Levy who the hell she interviewed, because whoever she interviewed was not the real Eric Gower. And that's problematic. And they never retracted it. How can Eric Gower say he lived 1,200, a snowball throw away from Bryan? The fuck you did. I don't have any tickets from Idaho as far as parking tickets go. So yeah. Until next time. Join me back later. Because I just realized me going off on Nancy Grace, I didn't even get to show the freaking body cam. So join me later and I'm going to put out the body cam. Sorry, I went on a tangent about Nancy Grace. She got me going. That bitch caught me. She trapped me. All right, guys. See ya. Much love to the mods. Thank you guys. And OMG.